إن شاء الله. السلام عليكم. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, honored professors and colleagues, on behalf of the National Water Research Center, the NWRC, and the Food and Agriculture Organization, the FAO, it is my pleasure to welcome you to the second day of the workshop entitled Enhancing Water Productivity, Innovation and Strategic Cooperation. Today, as we gather once again, I would like to extend my deepest gratitude to all the participants, speakers, and partners who made the first day of the workshop a great success. Your insightful contribution and active engagements have truly enriched our discussions and paved the way for new perspectives on water productivity. Before we embark on today's sessions, let's take a moment to reflect on the highlights of day one. We explored the latest advancement in water productivity through 3 thematic sessions. We started with modern irrigation techniques and soil management, where we discussed modern irrigation systems and smart technologies. These approaches demonstrated how to adapt climate change, reduce water usage, and enhance water productivity. We also learned about groundbreaking techniques to manage saline water irrigation using closed-chain protocols, and witnessed the practical application of rational irrigation techniques in Egypt, showcasing nano-biochar roles in improving soil properties and crop yields. The second session took us through innovative strategies in water reuse and recycling. We examined approaches such as electrochemical treatment and rainwater harvesting, emphasizing the importance of maximizing the available water resources while minimizing environmental impacts. The session also highlighted successful urban water recycling systems and their role in addressing water scarcity. Our final session of the day embraced the future of water management through artificial intelligence and drone technology, from UAV systems in national agriculture to AI-based models predicting Nile River water levels. The session showcased how integrating these technologies with water management can drive efficiency and sustainability. Today, we continue our journey with a strong focus on practical solutions and forward-looking strategies. We will delve into education, awareness, capacity building to empower communities and foster water-smart societies. We will also discuss climate change resilience in agricultural water management, examining how to adapt the irrigation strategies to build resilient systems. And later this afternoon, we will explore international cooperation and cross-sectoral partnership, discussing how global collaboration can strengthen the water security. We will also highlight successful models of water productivity projects from around the world, providing practical insights and lessons learned. Today's sessions reflect our commitment to fostering innovation and strategic cooperation in water management. As NWRC marks 50 years of pioneering research and leadership in water science, it is a moment of pride to see how far we have come and how our collective efforts continue to shape the sustainable future of water. Let's please take full advantage of today's session to exchange ideas, learn from each other, and strengthen our shared commitment to water security. Once again, thank you for being here and for your unwavering dedication to advancing water productivity. I wish you a very productive and inspiring second day of the workshop. And now, please allow me to call to the floor the first session moderator, Professor Said Bidar, and Dr. Marwa Ali. This session will tackle the education, awareness, and capacity building. It will include 3 presentations, then the question and answers and panel discussion. Thank you all.
Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon. The session today is about education, awareness, capacity, and capacity building. Education, awareness, and capacity building play a crucial role in enhancing water productivity, particularly in the face of growing water scarcity and environmental challenges. Together, these elements create a holistic approach that not only improves water productivity, but also ensures long-term sustainability for future generations. In this session, we will have 3 diverse presentations covering different capacity building activities, aspects from community level up to students, researchers, and decision makers. Community engagement assists awareness raising, which fosters a sense of responsibility and encourages sustainable behavior, leading more efficient water use. In that regard, please allow me to welcome Engineer Aya to address the role of youth and women at capacity building community level for sustainable development. Engineer Aya holds an MSc in Sustainable Leadership from Arizona State University. Since 2015, she co-founded Bina Foundation for Sustainable Development, an Egyptian NGO fostering social innovation for environmental sustainability with a mission of empowering rural communities through knowledge-based youth-led participatory projects. Also, she is a member of Global Network of Civil Society for Disaster Risk Reduction. Please, Engineer Aya, the floor is yours. You have 20 minutes. I will give you a notification 2 minutes in advance.
First of all, I want to thank you all and thank Dr. Sharif and the National, the NWRC for having us here today. It's a pleasure to be among you, and we have really enjoyed the past day. We're seeing all of the innovations that are happening and all of the scientific research. And what we are here to do and what we try to do is help bridge the gap between what's happening and the innovations in the research and the local communities. So allow me to first introduce. Okay. Where do I point to click? The Linnaeus Foundation for Sustainable Development. We are a youth-led NGO. We started in 2015 as an initiative, and then we registered in 2017. We believe in social innovation for environmental sustainability. Next slide, please. So, in order to do that, we have developed what we coined as our social innovation pyramid. It's basically a loop that connects knowledge, capacity building, in order to develop participatory development projects that serve remote rural communities. I'm not going to take much of your time, but let me explain to you how we do this. Next slide, please. So, for the knowledge production and transfer, we started first with translating and disseminating knowledge. We started with ourselves. We were youth. We were very motivated to work in the field, and there was a lot of knowledge and available, but it's not accessible to most of the Egyptian youth. So we started by translating knowledge that's already existing, simplifying it into social media campaigns and spreading it over the internet to raise awareness. So, for example, we've translated the compendium for sanitation technologies, and we helped make this book reach over 100,000 Egyptian youth. Another one of the books that we've translated is the Community-Led Urban environmental sanitation book. Not only did we translate it, but we also developed a toolbox to help people use it in order to develop truly sustainable projects. The CLUES principles is basically our approach to working. We work at the community level, which complements the city-wide strategic planning level. It also employs both the community knowledge and the expert knowledge. Additionally, we encourage resource conservation and recycling, and it solves the problem nearer to the source. So we always encourage local and decentralized solutions for local problems. So I'm going to take you quickly to the steps of how we do it. First of all, we start with the process ignition phase. The process ignition phase aims to desensitize the community and raise their awareness to the problems that are existing. The output of the first phase is forming a community action group. The community action group, it serves as the core of the local community who are going to participate with us throughout the next planning steps. Then we have the official launch. The official launch, it includes stakeholders, including local government, representatives of the water, working in the governorate, and also all other stakeholders that are involved in the project. The next phase is the detailed assessment. So together with the stakeholders, we start compiling the baseline data, and this also includes employing developing socioeconomic reports, and also reports about the enabling environment in the planning area. This is done collaboratively with the local community as well. They participate with the data collection and everything. The outputs of this phase is a detailed assessment report, including baseline data, as well as a refined stakeholder analysis for the work area. Then we start with the validation of the report. We validate the report with the local community to prioritize their needs. The thing is with the CLUES approach is that it emphasizes a multi-sector and multi-actor approach that puts the community at the heart of the decision-making process together with all the different stakeholders. So this is why it's always important to prioritize their needs to ensure their engagement. After the prioritizing is the identification of service option. Now this is where water experts and environmental experts come together with our planning team in order to identify relevant service options. Using an informed choice approach, the local community and the local government, they help with the selection of the most feasible solutions that work with them, considering the financial as well as operation and maintenance implications, because this is always a part where many of the projects fail after the project ends. Then we start with developing the action plans. The output here is a funded and costed action plan. The action plan must be implementable by the local community, the local government, private sector, and it also has to account for the operations and maintenance. Finally, the action plan is translated into work packages that is implementable by these actors. Now, throughout these 7 steps, we call these the 7 planning steps, but they're not just planning, but because they include the implementation as well. There are 3 important cross-cutting tasks. These are awareness raising and communication. This has to happen throughout the 7 steps, where you get to tell the people about precedents that have happened here in Egypt or abroad, raising their awareness about the topic, the health implications of the current situations, and what we can do together to make it better. The second is the capacity building for the local community, because they are partners in this, and they are responsible for maintaining the services and the infrastructure after the project closeout. So we have to ensure that these people are well trained to do the parts that they are expected to do. And then the third is of course the monitoring and evaluation, which is important throughout the process, because you might find yourself pivoting at some point throughout the 7 planning steps. And then there is the enabling environment. The enabling environment for the project is what ensures its sustainability really beyond the project closeout. This includes the government support, the institutional setup for the project, the legislation, the relevant legislation that can support or hinder the project, and what we can do about it. The socio-cultural acceptance of the technologies that are going to be implemented in the ground. And also the financial arrangements, because financial sustainability is at the core of what we do. This approach is, it provides a flexible approach. Depending on the awareness level of the community, we might skip some steps. Some steps might take longer than expected. So this approach is tailored to every community that we work with. It's also, the high level of community participation, as well as building their skills and capacities, ensures that they have a sense of ownership for the project, and they will care for the infrastructure that is developed after we leave the area. So, moving forward to the capacity building, in this track, we built the capacities of youth. We build the capacities of women and local communities. We build the capacities of fresh graduates and college students. And we also have recently started working with kids, because we believe that real change is going to happen with the new generations. So for the projects, we work with drinking water, grey water treatment for irrigation in schools. This was a project done with CARE International, where we developed the schools, because the school is the built environment in which the kids grow, and the kids and the school community are the community that live in the schools. So working together with them, raising their awareness and helping them understand the systems that are put in place to make their environment better, this is at the core of what we do. So we have installed grey water treatment reuse systems in 6 schools in Cairo, Alexandria, and in the Delta region. Small-scale sanitation, we started in 2017, starting with simple anaerobic baffled reactors that are all prefabricated, locally made here, and then we started developing our units to include aeration systems and other stages of treatment, depending, of course, on each case. But now this is where I want to stop. The digital water and sanitation solutions. This is one of our newer projects, because we are talking about decentralized communities, decentralized infrastructure that is serving remote rural communities. Even though we worked with the communities, we raised their capacities, we stay in contact, we found that much more support was still needed. So this is where we started to resort to technology, using IoT technology to monitor the operations and the water quality, some of the water quality parameters of the unit, to give us an indication about its operation, as well as early warning systems for electric cuts, for drops in water quality, and other criteria, where we get email notifications instantly of any errors in the community. We've also developed a mobile application where مراقب الجودة, where can monitor these units remotely from their mobile phones. So maybe people in the local councils or in the affiliated company, water and wastewater company, they can also have tabs on what's happening with the units. It also has an awareness modules where we can disseminate awareness materials to the local community by the mobile app, awareness on water, climate change, irrigation, and also we've added a module recently that we're currently testing for online payments, because like we said, financial sustainability is key to the operations of any infrastructure. So the community, they pay monthly subscriptions. These used to be collected by people, but now with the development of mobile technology and mobile wallets, we're currently testing if these can be paid remotely through a mobile wallet, which will make the tracking of defaulting rates and optimizing our financial models very much more easy. I don't want to take much of your time. We have collaborated with many entities to get to where we are now, and we are looking forward to more collaboration because, like I said, there is a lot of innovation and a lot of work that is happening in this room and in your respective centers and institutions that we can help bring to the people. So thank you.
Thank you, Engineer Aya, for the 5 minutes gift of you. It will support us during the day. Yes, thanks a lot. Of course, there is a lot of questions, but after, at the end of the session. So thank you. Of course, part of the story is preparing the new generation and equip them with the knowledge needed. So after being introduced to capacity building at community level, let's explore together the other side of youth, but from scientific level and education. So education equips individuals and communities with the knowledge necessary to understand water management practices, the importance of conservation, and the impact of their actions on water resources. We will be introduced to different educational and community awareness initiatives aiming to enhance water productivity by Professor Wael Khairi. Professor Wael Khairi, please. Professor Wael is Dean of Graduate Studies and Scientific Research Faculty of Engineering, Heliopolis University for Sustainable Development. He is a senior academician and researcher engineer with more than 33 years experience. He led extensive water resources project in Egypt and the Nile Basin since he was the Nile Basin Executive Secretary. Also, he demonstrated excellence in water teaching and applied scientific research. He has more than 60 published technical papers and chapters in prestige and renowned journals in the area of integrated watershed modeling. Dr. Wael, the floor is yours, and you have 5 minutes to give from us.
Thank you very much. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. It's my pleasure to be here. My distinguished professors, colleagues, friends. Actually, let me start from saying that I'm very happy to be in this workshop while I'm commemorating the Golden Jubilee of the National Water Research Center, my beloved institution and my home institution. I started, for those who don't know, I started with the National Water Research Center in 1991, and I'm continuing 30 years, moving from the Ministry of Water Resources and Irrigation back to the National Water Research Center. So I owe a lot of experiences I got through the National Water Research Center and the Ministry of Water Resources and Irrigation. Today, I was asked to talk about something not academic, not scientific, but more with awareness, education, and capacity building. That's what I was asked for, and that's the title of my presentation today. This is the table of content. Very quickly, I'm going to give a little bit about the introduction, and then I'm going to focus about the successful model, which is Heliopolis University for Sustainable Development and CCAM integrated together, and this is the merit of this successful model. And I'm going to talk quickly about the vision and action plan and how those impact and continuing to impact the social development in Egypt. Then I'm going to give a little bit about the education and awareness strategy, and then I will give some time for the 3 or 4 success stories, and I will end by some recommendations for policy guidelines. I like always to start by the challenges in Egypt. I know all of us know, but it is a base where I'm going to focus my presentation on. We all know about the challenges of Egypt, of course. However, the climate change will become a reality. It hits severely Egypt from all 4 directions. Heat wave from the west, seawater rise from the north, and seasonal flash flood and severe events from the east, and reduction in the Nile water coming to Egypt from the south, either natural or man-induced. In my presentation, I'm going to focus on those 4 or 5 challenges: urbanization, pollution, water process, violation to law, and lack of awareness. And that's exactly what we need to teach our students and also our farmers and our society at large. Let me start by saying something very important, that the Ministry of Water Resources and Irrigation, in association with the other ministries and related agencies in Egypt, are doing a fantastic job. Since we have started having the highest one working, 1970 up to now, we haven't heard about severe water challenges affecting our daily life. Like we never went to the market and we couldn't find vegetables or fruits. And we never opened the tap and we didn't buy water. It's always there. And also the number of complaints coming from the farmers are decreasing a year after a year due to the very good management and development of our irrigation system and drainage system in Egypt and water management in large. That's what we say here, the top-down actions led by the National Water Resources Plan of Egypt. We have a series of National Water Resources Plan, but the one we are working under now is the plan up to 2037. This is a top-down approach, including more than 261 national projects, big projects, and it costs Egypt a lot of money, 2,353, this is the number of projects, 2,353 projects, costing Egypt more than 260 billion Egyptian pounds. This is a lot of work by the government, particularly by the Ministry of Water Resources and Irrigation. But it is not enough to make sure we have sustainable water management. What we need to do, in addition to that, another approach, which is bottom-up. That's what we need to focus on in order to make maximizing of the use of the water and more water saving and less water losses, and also climate resilient actions and activities, and a lot with the water accounting, the capacity building, and the spread of the nature-based solutions for water and irrigation and agriculture. We all know about this. We all know about this. What we need to do is to do 2 things: good education, practical training, and scientific research. This is one side. And the other side is to make good dissemination, awareness, capacity building to the farmers and stakeholders. 2 sides of the problem in order to solve. So the sustainable water management is the key. It means making more of the less. And there are a lot of things to do in order to realize this. I'm going to show you some of them. But before we start to show the success stories, I like to tell you about this good integration, the academia and the private sector. And that's exactly what we have in Heliopolis University with CCAM Group. CCAM has a vision up to 2057, has 4 pillars: ecology, society, culture, and economy. but it is mainly not for profit. So CCAM Group is not mainly for profit, but it needs, of course, money to run its operation and do its project, but it is not for project. So what is CCAM? CCAM is a very big company, holding, investment company, includes a number of farms, like 5 farms, big farms, one in Mahat Bahariya, one in Bilbis, one in Fayoum, one in Minya, and one in Sinai. In total, those are more than 10,000 acres, 10,000 acres. And in addition to the number of farms, there are also seeds breeding, improving the strains of seeds, vegetables, herbs, and others. In addition, it has also husbandry for special types of cows for meat and milk. This is one side. The second side of CCAM, the factories. It has, as you see here, is used for food production, for processing, Lotus for organic products, and also it has nutraceuticide for clothes, and it has Adus for medical and pharmaceutical productions. And in addition, it has a lot of export and import offices to export outside Egypt. In addition to that, Heliobis University come here. Heliobis University works as the arm for research and development for CCAM Group. It includes, as you see, 5 faculties: Faculty of Pharmacy, Faculty of Business and Economics, Faculty of Organic Agriculture, Faculty of Physical Therapy, Faculty of Engineering, food program. This is one of the very strong aspects of Heliobis University. And the research centers. We have 5 research centers under the university. As I said, the university is sharing in all CCAM projects. When I'm talking about CCAM projects, those are not projects, those are implementation on the ground for the benefit of the society. And it comes from the vision of CCAM. So the sustainable water management, it is inherited in Heliobis University's vision, as you see even in the name of Heliobis University for Sustainable Development, and it is not only a slogan or a banner, it is considered in all aspects of the academic life and non-academic activities within the university. Then CCAM, the vision has 16 goals. The goal number 6 here is sustainable water management, mainly for this sustainable water management, and this matches very well with the vision of Egypt and the Sustainable Development Goals in the United Nations 17 goals. So we are all integration between the university and CCAM is matching with the international and the national requirement and goals. This is the dashboard of CCAM, and when I'm talking about CCAM, it is also the Heliobis University. It is hand in hand with CCAM and all those achievements. The time will not allow me to go into the details, but very quickly about the important numbers from the industrial facilities and the farms activities. There's a carbon sequestration, carbon emission, and in CCAM there's about 4,000 ton per year emission. But in expense of that, in front of that, there's 20,000.6 carbon sequestration. It means we are sequestering 4 or 5 times what we emit. It means it's a green institution or organization. The area we work on, in total 12,000 hectares in Egypt, but it is not owned by Heliobis, not owned by CCAM, the whole amount. What is owned by CCAM is only 628 hectares, and the rest is contractual agriculture with farmers who are connected to CCAM. And that's what I'm going to tell you about. This is one of the success stories. Of course, the gender issue is considered. 28% of the workers are women. CCAM has schools, series of schools, starting from the nursery and elementary, 389 students. Vocational training centers include 288 technicians. Heliobis University, about close to 3,000 now, because this is the report of 2023. And we have in Heliobis University 32 research and development applied projects for the support of CECAM activities. And those are the number of farmers who are connected to CECAM. What I mean by that, they are practicing organic agriculture and regenerative agriculture. And I'm going to explain this to you. But just make this number in your mind, because you will find after 2023, exponential curve happens to this number. We all know that the agriculture sector is the main polluter for water resources, the surface and subsurface. And even it is the most emitter of carbon dioxide to the atmosphere. Nevertheless, the solution is inherited in the agriculture sector. In order to make sure we have mitigation actions, in order to reduce carbon dioxide in the atmosphere and the global warming, we have to start with the agriculture sector. This is our key to start to do impact, significant impact in this sector. And that was our report to the COP28 in United Arab Emirates. CECAM and Heliopolis University went with a list of actions to be taken. And the actions considered very well by the leaders of the world at the COP. And not only that, in the following COP in Azerbaijan in 29, it was endorsed by majority of the world leaders. And CECAM is one of the climate champions worldwide. So our tracks in CECAM and Heliopolis University, 2 tracks. The first one is to give quality education, particularly in the area of how to cope up with climate change, how to enhance the water productivity, and expand more with the renewable energy generation, organic agriculture, and water technologies by all means. This is one track, and the second track is to empower and make more of awareness and capacity development, adaptive capacity development, to the farmers who are doing the farming in Egypt, 7 million farmers. Actually, we have this in mind all the time that environment, economy, and social are highly related, and from this point, we do all our implementation projects. One of our success stories is transforming the risk into opportunity. We all know that domestic wastewater is a risk. When the farmers started to do septic tank and put domestic wastewater in the ground, what happens? It penetrates and goes to the groundwater aquifer. After 1 year, 2 years, it becomes drinkable from another well. A lot of diseases, health impact, environmental impact. So one of our projects was how to transform this into opportunity while we have water scarcity. So in the rural areas, in the desert areas where the government does not have enough fund to make sewage network, this model can be applied. And we started to apply this model in الواحات البحرية, about 400 kilometers southwest of Cairo, in one of our farms as a model. And from this point, we expanded. So it was in الواحات البحرية, CECAM farm. There in the farm, there was like 300 workers and technicians in the farm. They had sewerage, a lot of sewerage. In addition to the sewerage, there was also ponds full of excess irrigation water from the bad practices of the inhabitants in the farm, in the oasis. They use excessive amount of groundwater. Part of it goes directly with the terrain to the lowest point, making ponds. There are many ponds in الواحات البحرية. So this is saline water, agricultural drainage water, plus the domestic wastewater. We need to get rid of those two, not only to get rid, but to give them another life by making those water capable to be irrigatable water, to use it in irrigation. So, being a member from the Drainage Research Institute, I brought with me this conceptual design. Dr. Ahmed Rashid, Dr. Akram Danzouri, Dr. Hussein. They started this in 2002. I was part of the team. It is called Engineering Constructed in Stream Wetland Treatment method. It is like a cell. The length is the length is 50 meters, and it has some segments. Each segment is responsible for getting rid of one of the pollutants. So we applied this in Al-Wahad al-Bahariya. We had like 6 months of reconnaissance survey, and we started to put the actual design. The design was to treat every day 36 cubic meters of water, and to be good for irrigation, but not edible crops, of course. It is only for wood tree, for carbon sequestration. That it was very tough to start to build something like that in the desert, but we managed to do that with our students. So the main player in this were our students, Faculty of Engineering, and we also established in situ laboratory to do the water quality analysis. After we completed the station, the concerted wetland station, we had to go through validation and calibration of the different segments, and this took like 1 year, in which we were able to improve and reach the maturity of each segment. And here is the final shape of our operational concerted wetland treatment station in Wahad, and not only that, it is now operated automatically. And those are the results of the 1 year of analysis, water quality analysis. And the current efficiency of removal of pollutant is 91%, and we are all aiming to reach 95%. The graduate students are working on this to improve the efficiency to reach more than that. Time is running. Now, this is the second part of it, how to expand, make it scalable, and sell this very cheap and low-cost and nature-based solution to the others. And in order to do that, we had many workshops, and we went to the farmers, not only in Wahad al-Bahariya, but also in Shabiyya, Qallubiyya, Ismailiyya, and many others. Now, I can tell you that the model is applied as a larger scale in the capital of Wahad al-Bahariya, in Bawiti. It is under construction now, 10 cells out of the one you see, and individually with the farmers, like 4 or 5 farmers in the base, and also 4 or 5 farmers in Wahad al-Bahariya.
Thanks, Dr. Wael. I'm sorry.
I have 3 more success stories, but time does not allow us.
Thanks a lot. I'm very interested with this model. Linking education with industry is very important, with irrigation, of course. Thanks for your presentation. I think we will have a couple of questions after the last presentation. Thanks a lot. Engineers. Equipping engineers and decision makers for sustainable water management highlights important role of regional training center for training and water studies on implementer level, where capacity building empower stakeholders, including farmers, policymakers, and local communities, by providing them with the skills and tools needed to implement innovative water-saving technologies. Regional Training Center, as the primary capacity building division of the Ministry of Water Resources and Irrigation, is playing a vital role in sustainability of water resources through various training activities. Engineer Amani from the Regional Training Center will advocate for the Regional Training Center activities in capacity building. So please, Engineer Amani. Engineer Amani is senior irrigation engineers in this center. She holds a baccalaureate degree in civil engineering from Manufaya University. She's working in the Ministry of Water Resources, of course. She has more than 15 years experience in water resources and irrigation. She currently works as an engineer in the Regional Training Center, focusing on training, capacity building. Through her role, and she has played a key part in designing, implementing training programs, contributing significantly to developing professionals in water sector. Engineer Amani, the floor is yours. You have about 15 minutes. Thanks a lot.
Okay. Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon. I am honored to be here today on behalf of the Regional Center for Training and Water Studies, RCTWS, and Dr. Salwa Abul Aila, the president of the training center. Also, I would like to congratulate the National Water Research Center on its 50th anniversary and its long-standing contribution to water research and development. Also, thank you, Dr. Sharif, for your invitation to be a part of this celebration. And I wish you many more jubilees, inshallah. Now, allow me to start my presentation. Here, the content of the presentation: history, vision, mission, infrastructure and facilities, national and regional activities, collaborating partners for African programs, needs assessment for training programs for African countries, linkage to aware themes, participation in project enhancing of agricultural productivity. The history of RCTWS and its development over time. The training center was recognized as a Category 2 center under the auspices of UNESCO from 2002. Since then, it has played a key role in capacity building and water resources management in 2 levels. The first in national level as a training arm of the Egyptian Ministry of Water Resources and Irrigation, and in the regional level in line of the UNESCO objectives framework and water management in region. Since June 2023, a major expansion took place with the inauguration of Pan-African Center for Water and Climate Adaptation, BACWA, under the AWARE initiative during the COP27. This marked a new phase of engagement, strengthening regional collaboration and expanding the center's impact in water and climate resilience across Africa. Here I give overview about the vision, mission, and strategy of the training center. The training center aims to be a regional hub for capacity building and sustainable water management, supporting both national and international stakeholders to share in building a water smart society and supporting awareness initiatives. Here are infrastructure and facilities. It includes modern training classrooms, technical and computer lab, accommodation provided by 3 hotels, along with other facilities such as swimming pool, restaurants, playground, and the center also features a smart irrigation farm as pilot, and AI lab and media unit, which present a high quality training. Also, we have several branches from Upper to South Egypt. Kafr al-Sheikh, Al-Mansoura, Azzi, New Capital, Minya, Isna, Al-Fayoum, Damanhur, and the biggest one in the headquarter in the 6th of October city. Here we will talk about the national training programs at the national level. The national level is supporting the Ministry of Water Resources and Irrigation Plan and Policy. It highlights the training pillars that presents to diverse range of professionals in the ministry, including civil engineers, agronomists, field technicians, final and administrative staff, and others. And the pillars here, like water resource management, legislation, technical programs, computer, soft skills, vocational training, and so on. We have annually average about 450 training activities and 9,000 trainees from the Ministry of Water Resources and Irrigation, and this is the most topics that we present. Beside that, the training center provides a summer internship programs and practical training for students. Approximately 1,000 students from various universities specialized in engineering, agriculture science, and computer science participated in summer school this year. Also, I would like to highlight the Training Center initiative to transform water hyacinth from an environmental problem into an economic opportunity through training programs. We empower local communities, especially women, to create handcrafts products from water hyacinth. These support environmental sustainability, job creation, and aligns with Egypt's national development. Here I give a summary about the regional level training, especially for Africa, from 2015 to 2025. In this period, we have 62 training programs benefiting 1,037 African participants. Here are CTWS achievements for Africa and RCTWS before BACWA. The inauguration of BACWA in 2023 marking an important milestone, enhancing capacity to supporting African countries. The graph reflects the steady increase in participants and training programs under the umbrella of BACWA. Here are cornerstone of our success, our partnership network from national and international organizations like Egyptian Agency for Partnership and Development, African Union, Arab League, JICA, Nile Water Sector, AMCAO, AUC, SICLAIR, and so on. Training need assessment. As we know, training process goes through several steps. The first and the most important step is that training needs assessment. The training center conducted periodic assessment using various methods, including direct training surveys, electronic surveys that reach alumni, as well as field missions. This step is crucial to build the training programs and tailor it to meet the required needs. The graph here shows some analysis for training needs assessment conducted across 41 African countries, and the most topics that have the highest percent. The result of our training needs assessment, we identified 37 specialized training programs and 4 diplomas, which conducted by e-learning, blended e-learning and actual presence. The 4 diploma is in GIS, Integrated Water Resource Management, Hydrology and Morphology, and Surveying. We categorized our training programs under the 6 work streams of AWARE initiative to serve in these tracks, as we see. Now, in the equation of FAO's participation today through the Japanese project, we are honored that the Regional Training Center has implemented the training component of this project. I gave a brief about this training. We conduct this training to 2 levels, one for engineers and the other for farmers. For engineers, we already have 60 master trainers from the Ministry of Water Resources and Irrigation and the Ministry of Agriculture and Land Reclamation. And for the farmer level, we already train about 1,300 smallholder farmers from 3 governorates, Minya, Ena, and Kafr al-Sheikh. And the topics was in covered topics as planning, design, operation, and maintenance of modern irrigation schemes, good agricultural practice, climate smart water management, and greenhouses and aquaculture. Okay, finally, we have covered our key efforts in training and capacity building to support sustainable water management. Thank you for your precious time and your attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Engineer Aman. We open the floor for discussion. So, take one question per presenter. So, any question? Yeah.
Thanks so much, Dr. Said. And of course, thanks to the presenters. 3 very informative presentations. And apology for Dr. Wael not being able to finish his presentation, but we have a very limited time according to the schedule. But let me start with you, Dr. Wael, question about, the very good example that you have mentioned in relation to how educational institutions and private sector can support the community and how we can scale our capacity building process that allows people to be engaged in a very very nice process in terms of orienting the way of thinking with relation to the farmer and the use of water and the agriculture time, and the ability to convince people to be able to capture the idea behind what you have mentioned about the vision for Sikkim about the organic agriculture. But also I would like to know also what are the role of the educational system, the students, the instructors and the academic people in relation to the community, and how they are supporting the community through, of course, the activities of Sikkim, because it's really very good example to learn from in order to be able to see that any academic or research institution can really have a real impact on the ground. So if you can clarify a little bit about that, maybe this would be good. The second question, before I end, to Engineer Aya. The very first slides you have mentioned that there is a chain of knowledge. I don't remember exactly the words, but I missed really the final step of the process, and whether it was in terms to knowledge generation or new knowledge generation, based on what you have mentioned in terms of translation for new books and so on, and then you have used the knowledge and utilized the knowledge with the community. But then I think through your experience and the process working with the community, you might have also able to generate new knowledge out of the exercise you have done with them, in terms of acceptance, the community acceptance to what you have mentioned, also the readiness, also the understanding and the level of understanding of the knowledge utilized through the process of engaging with the community. So are you, through your experience and the process you have went through, able to generate new knowledge that we can benefit from in order to build on, and also to work with that and to find good ways for addressing the community needs? Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sharif, for the very important questions, and at least you gave me some more time to express more about what we have done and what we are still doing in University and Sikkim. Let me just highlight 3 of the activities related to the community and the students together. One of them is called CBL, Community-Based Learning, and it is a mandatory every semester that the students of all faculties go to the field, each one in his specialty, and try to know from the community what are the challenges in this specialty for the health, for agriculture, for water availability, and so on. And they have to find a way with their mentors and professors who are joining them, what are the most applicable solutions for those areas. If it is poor, if it is middle class, and so on. It is graded and part of the practical work of the students. Another dimension or another activity we do is what we call industry-based practical training. And each year, we select, each semester, we select for each university a number of students, a number of classes or courses that related to the industry. And started to make agreement with the factories, hospitals, and construction sites, that we will send the students periodically every week, at least one time, to spend 8 hours, complete day, under mentoring. And this mentor has also to report back by attendances, participations, alertness of the students during this day. And it is part of our grades that added to the student at the end of the semester. The third one, which is the most important one, that we need to convert or transform the Egyptian farmers from the traditional agriculture using chemical and pesticides, fertilizers and pesticides, into organic. This one in itself will reduce very much the carbon dioxide emission. And for that, we have within this group of CETAM and Heliobis, we have an association called Biodynamic Agriculture Association. The Biodynamic Agriculture Association is certified by the Egyptian government, and it is doing the conversion, that we have people going for reconnaissance survey and making social analysis for the farmers to know what they need to convert from traditional agriculture into organic agriculture. Then, Heliobis and CETAM is a guarantee at the national banks to let the farmer get loans from the bank in order to make modern irrigation, solar system for groundwater abstraction driven by solar, and then the composting instead of using chemical fertilizers, and to continue giving advising and capacity development for the farmers up to the limit that the farmer can stand alone and can continue without the help of CETAM. Up to now, we have 17,000 Egyptian farmers connected to organic agriculture. They converted completely. And by the end of this year, 2025, our target is 28,000 farmers to be organic agricultural farmers. And our long-term target is to reach by 2030, 250,000. And we can do it, I think we are in the right track. So this is attainable for CETAM and Heliobis group. And every time we do that, we make a model, like in a certain location, the farmers, they don't do anything without seeing by their eyes that the benefits out of it. And for that, we do model everywhere. So the expansion of the models is increasing the rate of learning. So we have more connections, farmers connecting to organic agriculture. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Wael. Engineer Aya.
Thank you so much for your question and for allowing me more time to elaborate on the final step of the process, as you have mentioned. Well, we actually do, we have already published a publication on youth-led sanitation. We can share that with you. We also developed manuals that help the people understand more about the process and how we do it. And like I also said, we have a toolbox for how to implement community-led projects. Additionally, we are also currently a part of a project called Water Mirrors Project. This is about sharing experiences between countries of the Global South on their experiences with water-related issues. Our mirror case is in Colombia, the Valley, and we're sharing experiences from both countries about water reuse, safe water reuse for food security. We're also part of a Safe Agro-MENA project with IHE Delft, where we are helping mobilize and organize the communities, and we've also generated a socio-economic report and on how the water is affecting the water quality is affecting the socio-economic aspects of the community, which is intended to be published inshallah throughout the project.
Thank you. If you allow, okay, we still have one question from Mr. Volkert.
Yes. Thank you very much. My name is Volkert de Jager. I'm First Secretary for Water Management at the Netherlands Embassy here in Cairo. Especially happy to be here today for the 15th anniversary of NWRC, because I have to admit the first time I visited Cairo was exactly 25 years ago to participate in the 25th anniversary conference. That was then held in Marriott Hotel. The memories bring me back to 1999, December 1999. I was just a fresh graduate from university, and I had the opportunity to present my MSc thesis here in Cairo, which was about river management. Anyhow, that aside, I have a question to Ms. Hanan, the last speaker, about the training and the capacity building, because I was very much intrigued by your overview of all the collaboration that you have as a training and capacity building center. My question may be a little bit blunt, but I'm looking for the cooperation that you as NWRC seek with other training institutes, especially in the training institutes upstream of Egypt, like Sudan and in the Nile Basin, Kenya, Ethiopia, because we all know the developments that are happening at the moment, and I strongly believe that collaboration and joint research is the foundation of finding solutions for those transboundary issues in future. So I was wondering, could you shed a little bit of light on with which institutes you work together and on what kind of topics? Thank you.
Thank you for your question. We already now ongoing of many collaboration with many organizations, national and international. Here in Egypt, the main national partner is the Egyptian Agency for Partnership and Development. This is affiliated to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And also the on Nile water sector, this organization is also affiliated to the Ministry of Water Resources and Irrigation here in Egypt, and they have many protocols and many letters of agreements with another African countries like Uganda, El Congo, Burundi, and so on. So we already implement these programs under the umbrella and under the cooperation with this agency. And we are ready to collaborate with any other organizations in future. Okay.
If you allow me just to reflect on what Mr. Volker just said, because it's really a very good point, and I see it very valid, and maybe I will just try to reflect on that, because we have an experience of that, and we know that this is one of the very shortcuts and direct ways really to build capacity and strengthen the cooperation and the common understanding between professionals in the other countries, and especially in our region in Africa and also the Nile Basin. The example I would like to mention is the Nile Basin Capacity Building Network for River Engineering. It was supported by the Dutch government, by the way, and for about, maybe more than 8 years it was working to build the capacity of the professionals within the Nile Basin countries, not only by organizing training workshops in Egypt or elsewhere, no, by involving people to work together and use part of it as a training, education, and also research as a capacity building pillars. And we have formulated a lot of teams from the different countries. We have organized several training modules in the other countries. So it really supports very much the common understanding, but also the capacity development based on exchanging of best practices and knowledge available in different countries. And I think now the time is really to use the facility and the capacity and the experience of the training center in 6 October in order to expand this network all over Africa, not only for the Nile Basin. So we need to build on that. We need to understand that the training courses might support the capacity development, but the engagement and the mutual kind of benefit between the different countries and the exchange of knowledge for things to be organized there, to work with the institutions there, the other countries, will support very much the sustainability of this capacity that have been built over years. And the network is based on identifying capacity building centers in terms of university, research centers, training centers in each of those countries. And based on that, we've tried to build this network of institutions, but also build a network of people to exchange and also to build their capacity. So I think very, very relevant, and I think the training center there and also the National Water Center can really support these things, and this is the time to do so, I think. Thank you so much. It's a good, very, very good one.
Thanks, Dr. Sharif. I think we have to close the session, so at the end of the session, I would like to thank the three presenters, Dr. Wael, Engineer Aya, and Amani, for their comprehensive presentation, for sharing their success stories and experience with us. I think we can state that capacity building, education, awareness are crucial to enhance water productivity. And I would like, or we would like to see more initiative and fund allocation for these sort of capacities. This is important, as this is an important pillar of the sustainable water and resources management and strategies. Thanks a lot, and thanks for bearing us for this period. I hope that you enjoyed this session. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Dr. Said. Thank you, Dr. Marwa, for moderating the session. Okay, we will pull for a 15 minutes break, but please, we need to start sharply at 2:30 because, you know, iftar is limiting our time. Thank you. See you in 10 minutes. The session will include 2 presentations and 1 case study, and the session will be moderated by Dr. Mahmoud Rushdi and Dr. Huda. The floor is yours, doctors, to start the session.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to session number 5, Climate Change Resilience in Agriculture Water Management. We have 3 presentations today in this session that will explore into critical aspects of this challenge. In this session, we will explore innovative solutions to enhance agricultural water productivity and resilience in the face of climate change. We will be beginning by discussing the impacts of climate change on agricultural water availability, highlighting the challenges posed by rising temperature, changing precipitation pattern, and increasing evapotranspiration. Climate smart agriculture and sustainable water management practice will be emphasized as key strategies for adapting for climate change. We will then move to presentation on optimizing the growth and yield of quinoa and strip catfish in biosaline integrated aquaculture agriculture system. This system uses saline aquaculture wastewater for irrigation, offering a promising solution for regions with both water security and soil salinity issues. Finally, we will present practical climate resilient solutions for improving water use efficiency, such as soil salinity, leaching, desalination, and soil powered irrigation systems. This presentation will also cover the use of innovative farming technique like agrivoltaics and digital tools to enhancing climate sustainability and ensure food security in the face of climate change. First of all, I would like to welcome Dr. Shireen Zahran and Dr. Mohi Omar and Dr. Muzri Muguli. The first presentation today is titled Understanding Climate Change Impact on Agriculture Water Availability. We are honored to have Dr. Shireen Zahran, a climate expert, with us today. Dr. Shireen Zahran, the water and climate change expert and executive director of Capacity and Research Development Unit, High Institute of Engineering and Technology, Labor. She holds a PhD from Ain Shams University. She was a former director of Climate and Environment Risk Assessment Laboratory, Environment and Climate Change Research Institute. She was a project team leader for many studies. She was a principal investigator for 2 studies funded from World Bank. She awards Smart Water Resource Management Prize from League of Arab States, and she published a lot of book chapters and scientific research paper. The floor is yours, Dr. Shireen, and you have 20 minutes.
Assalamu alaikum. Happy Ramadan, and thank you for your kind invitations and my extended family in National Water Research Center, and hope all success for your process in the 50 universe. Today I will speak about the understanding of climate change in water and agricultural sectors. My presentations outlines will cover the climate change driving force and the risk due to this driving force, and also we mentioned about the main features of IPCC report, the assessment report, its final reports, and addressing some studies cover this issue, and finally go to some key messages for decision support system and stakeholders. First, what happens in my universe? The driving force coming from the sun is some of this radiation force is absorbed with the surface and some emitted. Some of this radiation force is emitted by greenhouse gases. So by increasing the emissions in our universe, we can increase the heat in the Earth's surface. This increasing emissions comes from two major sources, natural resources and anthropogenic impact. The IPCC addressed that anthropogenic impact has more effects in greenhouse gases, which lead to increase temperatures around 1.1 till now, referring to the period of pre-industrial period. The chart here illustrates that there are increase for all the greenhouse gases in terms of nitrogen, carbon dioxide, chloroform. So the unsustainable development of human settlements that increase the anthropogenic impact could be degradable the system and make many cases due to the climate. We faces around 74 natural disasters between 2000 and 2018. In the last, in this period, we facing from damage and losses and this. As we see here, in all the global, the major part for water consumption goes through the agriculture sectors, and we should put more attention and efforts to control these resources. As you see here in African, in the climate risk in Africa has facing from extreme events such as flood, landfill, drought, and this could be breaches or more than damage and loss of around $400 billion. This is some study addressing the adaptation cost in Africa, which will devote it for the water resources and agriculture and coastal area. All of us putting in the risk if we still use the scenario for business as usual without taking any efforts for adaptation and mitigations. We need to limit our temperatures behind 1.5 to avoid this risk. If we speak about the key impact for climate change in our universe, this comes from raising global temperatures, climate change, and alters for precipitation pattern, increasing the evapotranspirations, melting the surface layers, sea level rising and changing in water quality, availability, and demand, and also increase the intensity and frequency for extreme events. In this chart, I will address that the major reasons for climate change will increase with increasing the temperatures. The dark colors mean the high level of increases. In this chart, with comparing to the revolution periods, we facing from increase the double in dry temperatures. The hot days could be doubled or regarding to the reference periods, and also we suffering from increase in soil moisture changes, against to increase in evapotranspiration and change the pattern for precipitations. As addressed also in IPCC report, the climate change regarding to the wet days of precipitations will increase rapidly. The dark colors mean increase the creases and increase the number of hot days. Also, by using the Palmer Drought Index, we found that many areas all over the world suffering from droughts. The brown colors mean drought and the blue one mean wet area. If you focus on the African continent, we found that the brown colors is shaded in many areas, which means is suffering from severe drought. Also, the intensity is the extreme events in terms of hydrological event or climatological event or meteorological events. The trend is increased and the rate also is increased. This is putting more stress and mean seasonal variability all over the world. Also, there are spatial and temporal variables due to these increases and due to the increase of temperature. This list depends on the pathway and our choice, the social choice. You need to start to drawing the adaptive mitigation strategy to facing the insufficient water scarcity and the other crises. Also, the IPCC report addressing that there are crises and lot of damage if we still using our behaviors as the scenario for business as usual, but at the same time and the same temperatures, we can increase the crises if we don't take any actions against these increasing temperatures. This also discuss the spatial variability in increasing the climate change and mainly for temperatures. This classifies the degree of the risk based on the sectors for dry area, for wildlife, for agricultural sectors, for ecosystem, and the change in land phase process is defines the level of crisis. Other finding addressing is the policymakers for IPCC that the change in cropping yield will decrease, and there are a reduction, for example, for the maize protections with increasing the temperatures. The purple colors were increased. This means that reductions in the productivity of the maize. The nexus between water and climate is the core of all treaties all over the world. If we can conduct the integrated management process, we can fulfill the requirement for sustainable development goal, Paris Agreement, and disaster risk reductions. As mentioned in national deterministic country, all the priorities has and increases has the water-related issues. These sectors is vulnerable to climate change, and this addressed in the national deterministic country The first sectors vulnerable to climate change is the water, and then agriculture, and the other sectors is also water-related issues. As we see here, these are some hazards regarding to the climate change. All of these hazards, or most of these hazards, are water-related hazards, such flood, drought, and increasing the heat. So we can prove that the climate change has an impact on water stress, has an impact in variability and extreme events, has an impact in water quality, and this impact change temporarily and especially with uncertain relation. The climate change impact with raising in the temperatures in the agriculture sectors by affecting in the crop yield and livestock health, and by altering the precipitation patterns. It's called making a water scarcity or flooding, deterioration of water quality, which can affect in the growth of the seasons for the crop and change the crop suitability as well. The increase in extreme events also like drought and storms, weakens food productivity and livelihood. In this place, if we look at the adaptation strategy we are looking to do, we should consider the narrative place of a change, because by changing the place, the implications of the agriculture sector is changed. The dry regions are suffering from severe declines of the water availability, which has major implications on the flood and food insecurity as agriculture's implications. And if we look at the coastal area, we can find that water availability has a moderate impact, but has a major effect on the agriculture and food sectors. This sub-study will achieve to trace and quantify the impact of climate change in Egypt by integrating the regional climate models with group-wide models to address the impact of climate change in water yield. As we see here, the three regional climate models assess the impact of climate change in 4th century and mid-century with pessimistic scenario and optimistic scenarios. And this result integrated with group-wide models to address the impact of change in climate in summer and winters and the dominant group, and what we need to increase the water availability by the 2010. As a study by Net Office and FAB address that there are an increase of vulnerability of food insecurity, but this vulnerability is linked with the level of adaptations. By increase the level of adaptations, we can decrease the impact and then decrease the vulnerability. But without taking actions for adaptation strategy, we can find that there are more vulnerable rates in the food insecurity. Other study conducted the assessment of the water availability in agriculture sectors in Arab regions was 2017 with projects called Ricarda. Ricarda incorporates 3 regional climate models and linked with the result for these models to study the assessment in different sectors such agriculture sectors. And they put some adaptation strategy, or put the ranking for adaptation strategy. This adaptation strategy beginning with improving water use efficiency and then maximize the use of water resources, then induce the institutional and legal reforms and use the less water consumption, the agriculture's group, improving the water and land management, and the last, protected public health. These some adaptation strategy and policy we are taking to the Arab regions to fulfill the requirement for climate change. With the agriculture sectors, the models that they different groups, such maize, cottons, and potatoes for pessimistic scenario and optimistic scenario, for medium century and large century.
5 minutes the question.
5 minutes, yes. This also other studies we are going to conduct to develop and assess the model for evapotranspiration using artificial intelligence, but this is not published yet. We use cloud computing to define and assess the evapotranspiration using remote sensing data. And we are selecting the 4 algorithms for artificial intelligence to train the performance of evapotranspiration and then quantify this impact. What I'm going to speak quickly is that we are change our choice. We are go towards the climate change adaptations quickly. The failed projects address some areas to address the problems in agriculture sectors, beginning from water conservation, the techniques, innovations techniques, policy, stakeholders cooperations, and soil conservation. All of these policy can be changed to plans and projects, but these plans and projects could be put in the certain some techniques and projects for using aquaculture, aquaponics, bioboils, some technique for water saving and water efficiency. We need to go towards adaptation strategy quickly to limit the temperatures under 1.5, to make a balance between carbon sink and carbon sources, to make this balance zero carbons, especially for agriculture sector, because agriculture sectors had sharing with the major impact for anthropogenic emission. Finally, who come first, who come second, which is the priorities for this project, who decide this. I think it's a time to go to apply the Wi-Fi Nexus approaches to manage our resources, to avoid maladaptation. As well address, you can apply the Nexus approach with 3 steps: qualitative step, quantitative step, and consultation meeting. Put our priority and mapping our stakeholders, and then define the problems and our priority, and then go to the priorities for the projects, mathematical criteria analysis, and then the decision makers have a maps and supporting systems to choose how they can select the project and who come first and who lead and who support. What I'm going to speak about is that this Nexus approaches solve the problems for adaptive mitigation strategy and supports meeting the sustainable development goals, but there are some challenges related to institutional challenges, information challenges, instrument challenges, infrastructures, and cooperations as well. Finally, I would like to bypass some messages from decision makers in this regard, beginning from this: we can start today, not tomorrow, to control the risk and build the resilience from climate change. The fairness could be a solution, the financial measures could be a solution, innovation and technology could be a solution, integrated and collaboration between stakeholders is the major solutions in horizontal sectors or vertical sectors. You should start. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shireen, for informative presentation. She addressed the huge impact of climate change on agriculture sector in terms of productivity and water requirement, and also she gave some messages about climate change adaptation. Thank you again, Dr. Shireen. Now we will move on to our second presentation, optimizing growth and yield of striped catfish and finwan in biosaline integrated agriculture system. We are honored to Dr. Mosri Mugwin. Dr. Mosri is an officer, CARES Research Center for Applied Research on the Environment and Sustainability, the American University in Cairo. He is PhD candidate in Alexandria University. He holds MSc in biotechnology from American University in Cairo. He holds BSc in agriculture from Alexandria University. He also has an advanced certificate in computer science from Rwanda. His key expert and research area are sustainable agriculture, biosaline agriculture, wastewater reuse in agriculture, abiotic stress management in plant agriculture, microbiology, and bioinformatics. The floor is yours, Dr. Mosri, and you have 20 minutes.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here to make a presentation on one of our most exciting research that we have conducted at the Center for Applied Research on the Environment and Sustainability at the American University in Cairo. This presentation, it's a research paper that we published. The title is Optimizing the Growth and Yield of Striped Catfish in a Biosaline Integrated Agriculture System. These are the authors, and on behalf of the authors, I'm happy to present this work. So I'll go through the background, the hypothesis, the methodology, results and discussion, as well as the conclusion. So as we all know, climate change has led to somehow salt accumulation in soils, and this has become actually a major problem, especially in the agriculture sector. Globally, we have around 20% of all irrigated soils salinized, and as we all know, in Egypt, 42% of the land is facing soil salinity and sodicity problems. It's predicted that the salt-affected areas will actually increase, they will double by 2050, and this is according to a report of FAO. Salt accumulation in the soil, of course, we know it has an impact on crop growth. It lowers the yields, and it's such a problem. Another problem that most of the countries are facing, especially in the Middle East and North Africa, is freshwater scarcity. Freshwater scarcity is also another global problem that is also affecting the agriculture sector. And despite the fact that the human population is increasing and expected to reach around 9.8 billion, we may not have enough access to fresh water. So what's the solution? As you all know, Egypt is also currently facing a freshwater crisis, but the country is also blessed with what we call water aquifers. These are underground water sources that actually can provide water for agricultural production. Now, most of the water in these aquifers is actually brackish. It contains a salinity concentration of around between 5,000 parts per million to 20,000 parts per million. So if the country cannot rely anymore on freshwater sources, then the country can invest in using the brackish water from the underground aquifers for irrigation to produce crops and fish. So in order to do this, we have to integrate two systems. We have to integrate the aquaculture production system as well as the crop production system, and we call this the integrated agriculture system. So in this system, basically, we have wastewater from fish. This wastewater is actually channeled to the grow beds where we are growing our crops, and this wastewater it contains a lot of nutrients that we believe will be beneficial to the plants. And also, this wastewater contains beneficial microorganisms that will help the plants to grow under any kind of stress. It could be water stress, it could be salinity stress. So the beneficial microorganisms in the fish wastewater can support plant growth under such conditions. But in order to have this system work efficiently, we must be very careful with the type of crop that we are choosing, because if we are using saline water to irrigate our crops, we must be able to choose a crop that can actually tolerate saline conditions. And one of the most interesting crops actually is quinoa. Quinoa, it's a halophyte plant that prefers highly salt conditions. In countries like the United Arab Emirates, this plant has been successfully grown, and we are looking forward to having this plant grown in Egypt. This plant can tolerate water salinity conditions ranging from 8,000 parts per million to around 45,000 parts per million, and it contains a lot of nutrients that are actually beneficial to our health. So at CARES, what we did was to have an integrated system where we integrated the aquaculture production unit with the crop production unit. And as you can see, we have different plots of quinoa. So water was channeled from the aquaculture production unit to the grow beds here through drip irrigation, and we had different salinity concentrations. So we had T0, which represents freshwater and chemical fertilizers, and then we have T1 that represented 5,000 parts per million, T2 representing 10,000 parts per million, and T3 representing 15,000 parts per million salt concentration. So the results that we got was that we noticed that the plant height actually ranged from around 75 to 85 centimeters. And as you can see, the control treatment where we have freshwater and chemical fertilizers, we have we have the highest values. But interestingly, this is followed by the 15,000 parts per million. All right, and we did not notice any significant differences between plants irrigated with freshwater and with plants irrigated with highly saline water. And then we also looked at the chlorophyll content. This is a very important parameter to look at whenever you are growing your crops, because of course the plants can produce the yield of plants is also dependent on the chlorophyll content. And as you can see, the plants irrigated with freshwater and chemical fertilizers, the chlorophyll content ranged to around 48. But plants irrigated with saline water, there was a decrease in the chlorophyll content. This is expected because, of course, because saline water has certain problems it causes plants. It causes osmotic and ionic toxicity in plants, which can also damage the chloroplasts. But when we looked at the yield here, the fresh weight and the dry weights of seeds per plant, we did not observe any significant differences between plants irrigated with freshwater and chemical fertilizers, with plants irrigated with highly saline water, and the same was seen in the seed dry weight. We also looked at the nutrient composition of the seed, because sometimes our treatments could result into better growth performance, but they may also result into a decline in the nutrient composition. So we looked at the concentration of the micro and macro elements, and as you can see, we did not see any significant differences in the micro elements such as zinc, iron, copper, and manganese. But if you look at these two elements, the calcium and the phosphorus, the significant differences were noted, especially between the highly saline conditions and the freshwater control. So this is obvious, because when we irrigate our soils with saline water, there is what we call the cation exchange capacity, where the sodium ions will actually displace the calcium ions, so the plant will not be able to absorb enough calcium from the soil. So that is why the calcium in the seeds in highly saline conditions was quite low. But when it comes to phosphorus, it was actually high in extremely saline conditions of 15,000 parts per million, and this could be explained by the quality of aquaculture wastewater that was coming from the tanks. with 15,000 parts per million. So when we expose fish to highly saline conditions, of course they release a lot of phosphorus in the water, but which phosphorus can also be taken up by the plant as a nutrient source. We also looked at the growth performance of the fish, but I would like to pull your attention on what we call the feed conversion ratio. This is a unit that is used to measure how much protein is actually converted into body weight of an animal. So we can see that the feed conversion ratio was actually a bit high in highly saline conditions. This is not good, but it was still below 2. So the lower the value of the feed conversion ratio, the better the fish growth performance. But for as long as the values are below 2, it's still acceptable. And then if you look at the survival percentage, at least we didn't have so much mortalities between the saline treatments. And then we also looked at the aquaculture wastewater, so we are interested to see the quality of the water that we are providing the plants, and we cannot see any significant differences in the ammonium, as well as the ammonia nitrogen, as well as other elements that are present in the aquaculture wastewater. So in conclusion, it's possible to integrate quinoa with aquaculture production, and the water salinities, this plant can perform well in water salinities that are around 10,000 or slightly above 10,000 parts per million. And for catfish, this fish can survive in a maximum water salinity of around 10,000 parts per million. And in areas where freshwater scarcity is a problem, this system can actually work well to increase food production. This is a study that we conducted and published in scientific reports. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mosley, for your attractive presentation and keeping the time. Thank you. The final presentation is a case study titled Building a Climate Resilient Agriculture System in Egypt. We are pleased to have Dr. Mohi Omar from ICARDA with us today. Dr. Mohi is a senior researcher at ICARDA. He holds a Doctor of Engineering Science in Irrigation and hydraulics from Department of Hydro System Modeling and Water Resource Management at UPB, Germany. He also holds Master of Science in Water Research Management from Nuremberg University, Germany. He holds a diploma in Water Resources and Hydrology from Faculty of Engineering in Shams. Dr. Mohi is an expert in water resources planning, green energy in agriculture, in improvement of irrigation and drainage system, water rationalization on the farm level, and improvement of on-farm water, energy, food, carbon footprint nexus. The floor is yours, Dr. Mohi, and you have 20 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, thank you. So good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for your kind invitation. So today I will focus on some practical solutions, but on the farm level. Here we have listed some of our innovations on the farm level that have different levels of scalability, starting from research to highest level of scalability across the country and in the region. So such innovations can be categorized under soil salinity management, alternative water resources, scalable appropriate mechanization, and innovative desert farming, green energy transition, precision irrigation scheduling, and improved field and conveyance and distribution efficiency on the farm level. And also it includes some kind of quantitative assessment of integrated resource management on the farm level, and improved soil carbon sequestration, and digital agriculture and irrigation advisory services. So I will start with a very low cost and simple innovation, very relevant to the heavy clay soil, and as you know that traditional soil sanity leaching under heavy clay conditions is not that efficient and cannot remove soil sanity efficiently, and that's why here we focus on changing the microtopography of the land in heavy clay soil, where we have already installed internal network of ditches and drains, where the water can move quickly and fastly from the external canal through these internal ditches, and also the internal drains can absorb and remove the excessive drainage water easily and quickly. So actually we have already, in collaboration with the Ministry of Water and Irrigation, have implemented this innovation in 5 sites in Kafr Sheikh, where we have already transformed fallow saline fields into arable lands. So actually the lands were not cultivated at all, as you can see here in the left picture, and then we have transformed such lands to arable and cultivated lands. And then, as you can see here in the graphs, the soil sanity has declined dramatically at different soil depths. So this is a very low cost and simple technique that is very relevant to all lands, especially under heavy clay soils. Also, with regard to salinity, we have started some kind of experiments on the electrodialysis desalination. Actually, compared to the current and common reverse osmosis, actually it saved the input water, and also it reduced the cost by 6 times. Actually, in collaboration with the National Water Research Center, we have selected a pilot area in Wadi Natron Research Station. We have here, during or over 2024, analyzed the water salinity of the brackish groundwater there, in order to make sure that if the brackish groundwater is changing over time or not, and this piece of information is very important when we are designing and manufacturing the proposed desalination units. Also, we have some kind of experiments. Actually, this has proven its concept in terms of increasing yield and water productivity. I'm talking here about magnetic treatment. We are not calling, or we are not saying magnetic desalination, because actually it doesn't reduce the water salinity, but actually it changes the clusters or the structure of water clusters in a way that the roots can absorb the saline water easily. And actually, as you can see here, this experiment in Mohra area, and as you can see that many crops and many crops and vegetables have already grown under these high salinity conditions, 11,000 ppm. Also, with regard to new water resources or alternative water resources, we started new experiments on air water harvesting. Actually, we have been investigating different techniques of air water harvesting, compressor-based or active-based solutions, and also passive-based solutions without any energy. Actually, here we are testing the water quantity collected and also the water quality, because the water quality that we have collected so far comply with drinking water quality standard, and that for sure might be very beneficial if you are mixing such high-quality water with brackish groundwater. Also, we are testing the energy consumption, the energy efficiency, how many kilowatts needed to collect and harvest the amount of water that we are targeting. And also we are investigating operational reliability and also seasonal adaptability, or the comparison between different seasons and day and night. Actually, it's a new technique. We can say that the amount of water that has been collected is mainly based on relative humidity, for sure, as the first factor, but also it mainly depends on the energy consumption if we are talking about active air water harvesting. So that means that we can control, or we can increase the amount of water that we are harvesting if we have a source of energy. Also here we are talking about one of our next generation lightweight Resbit machines. Actually, we have an outstanding experience and history with Resbit machines. Actually, this technique of Resbit machines increase the water use efficiency and increase the water productivity and yield, and for sure reduce the cost and increase the income of farmers. But actually, from our experience, we have already before manufactured many Resbit machines, but we didn't achieve high level of scalability because of many reasons. First reason, that the Resbit machines that we have developed lately was heavy, with more than 1 ton, and that's why recently we have already developed lightweight railway machine with only 375 kilogram that can be bought by common tractors, which are available and common anywhere in Egypt. So these actually 5 railway machines have been distributed and handed over to 5 water user associations in Kafr Sheikh, Minya, and Gabarret in collaboration with the irrigation improvement sector at the ministry. We have also here transported our railway machines to Syria, and actually also it has achieved good result under Syrian conditions. Here also we are talking about some of innovative desert farming activities. Actually, these activities have been conducted in collaboration with all national partners here. This is just an example of how can we bring all national partners together to integrate and complement each other. So we have here in this project, we started to prove the concept of soil moisture-based irrigation scheduling under, for sure, desert farming conditions. Also we have introduced also some kind of alternative forage like banicum, and also we have introduced seeds of improved varieties, and we have already applied in Wadi Nafon area at NWRC plastic mulching and covering to withstand with unprecedented conditions like wind and so on in these areas. And also we have proven the concept of applying biochar in order to increase the water holding capacity and increase the yield under desert farming conditions. Also under this project we have introduced a high sophisticated solar energy power net house. Actually this net house is unique as it already cooled the root zone, as we have already found that when we have a high temperature, the oxygen absorption declined dramatically in the root zone, and that's why we are trying to cool the root zone. Also we have introduced 3 sophisticated of such net houses, one to NWRC and one to ERC, and the third one is to DRC. Also, one of the innovations that might be very relevant under these climatic change conditions is agrivoltaics. So agrivoltaics actually is avoid the competition over the land area between energy generation and agricultural production, because as you all know that in smallholder farming, farmers are very aware or are very worried to leave a piece of their lands to install solar panels, especially if we are talking about shared irrigation system with a group of farmers. And that's why these agrivoltaics avoid this competition over the land. So the same piece of land or the same land area can generate energy and also at the same time can produce agricultural yield. So actually this high mounting structure with 4 to 5 meters can also provide partial shading, which mitigates the heat stress for some varieties and some crops, especially the leafy vegetables and increase their yields. So actually we have different agrivoltaics. We started with 5 agrivoltaics in collaboration with FAO and with the Ministry of Water Resource and Irrigation in 3 governorates, where we have already introduced different designs and different layouts. Actually we can control the design and the layout based on the spacing between solar panels. And also we have another factor, which is the ratio between the coverage area of agrivoltaic to the total land area. So we can introduce different designs and different layouts of agrivoltaic system based on the crops we have and the varieties we have. Also for traditional solar irrigation in collaboration with FAO and the ministry, also we have introduced 2 integrated systems where 2 different groups of farmers are sharing the same irrigation system and the same solar panels and also the same crop consolidation system. So for sure this supports and enhance the concept of land or crop consolidation in Egypt. In Syria also, as you know that after the crisis in Syria, they are lacking electricity all the time. There are some areas in Egypt where the electricity leakage reached to 20 hours per day, and that's why we have introduced also some solar irrigation systems with different drip and sprinkler and gated pipes irrigation system in different areas in Syria. And for sure it has improved the sustainability of agriculture sector, because there are many areas there have been transformed to uncultivated because of lack of electricity and because of solar panels and solar energy that we have introduced we have already transformed many fallow lands to cultivated and arable lands. This one is some kind of innovations. Here I talk about gated pipes as gradual transformative action. We are not talking about transforming surface irrigation system to directly to drip or sprinkler irrigation. We are talking about something in between, which is gated pipes, is low cost and cheap, and also can improve the water use efficiency on the farm level and also increase the water productivity. Currently, with the Ministry of Water Resource and Irrigation, we are going to have some kind of also agrivoltaics, but not above agricultural lands. Here we are installing the solar panels above mescas, so this also will solve the problem of conflict of the land. And also we are going to supply, or we are going to use this electricity to a command area in many and the Kenya governments. We will have two command areas. Also, we are going to improve the irrigation system, including improving the marwas in these served areas. Actually, now we are at the phase of having a baseline multi-criteria assessment to let farmers with stakeholders select which irrigation system and which marwa design is best fit to their conditions. Also, one of the new techniques that we have applied and have proven its concept under desert farming conditions, not under old and heavy clay soil so far. So we are still working with that, but under desert farming conditions, we have proven the concept of thermal imaging-based irrigation. So actually, when there is a water stress in the root zone, the leaves of the plant start to close its stomata in order to save water, and that's why this evapotranspiration actually makes some kind of cooling. So when the leaves of when the stomata or when the leaves of the plant close its stomata and reduce the evapotranspiration, the temperature of the leaves increase. So when we are detecting this increase, when we are detecting the threshold to start irrigation, so we can have this system as a system to schedule irrigation under desert farming conditions. So actually we started with proximal cameras, and then we have moved to another phase of real-time monitoring of leaves temperature, and by detecting the difference between leaves and the air temperature, we can identify exactly when we have to start irrigation. Likewise, with NWRC and with RC, we started some experiments of smart soil moisture-based irrigation. I know that some of you are aware and familiar with such systems, but actually what we are trying to do is to optimize and to improve the experience and the expertise on using such soil moisture-based irrigation systems. Also, for irrigation scheduling, we have been testing different ET-based irrigation systems approach across the region, not only in Egypt. Actually, we have already recommended some kind of recommendations on which ET-based approach or mechanism is relevant to each country and under different agroecological conditions. These are some results of the ET-based network. Also here some kind of ex-post assessments that we have done after 5 years of rehabilitation of marwas in Hafez al-Sharqiyya in Minya. So actually we have found that there is an overall satisfaction among beneficiary farmers in terms of technical economical benefits, better water equity and less conflicts and land saving. Also, we have here applied some kind of quantitative assessment, because as you know that if you are talking about water or integration between water, energy, food and carbon footprint, there is no clear answer or there is no score that can evaluate or assess the performance of any farm. For example, if we are transforming the system, the irrigation system from surface to drip irrigation, we might have some kind of water saving on the farm level, but we might have more energy. It might affect, for example, the soil sanity over the long term. It might, for example, reduce the yield. So what we are doing here, that we are assessing or we are scoring or we are ranking different farming practices in Egypt, and we are doing the same in Morocco and Jordan, in order to give decision makers recommendations on the best bundle or package of practices and systems that can improve and leverage the Wi-Fi Nexus approach on the farm level. Here in Egypt, for example, when we are tested this tool or this approach in 2,400 farmer fields in Egypt under different agroecological conditions and soil types, and different irrigation system and agronomic practice and so on. We have ranked the whole farmers. For example, here you can find the highest 10 ranking farmer fields. Actually, we found those farms in new lands under sandy soil conditions, and also the land area was a bit bigger than those in old lands. And also we found that they have already applied the recommendations of fertilizers. Also here we can find the lowest 10 ranking farmer fields. So actually this gives some recommendation to decision makers. Also here we have supported the decision makers and extension system and irrigation advisory service in Egypt with our digital tools, where farmers and extensionists and irrigation advisory engineers can take the information they need. Actually, we are trying to have some kind of site-specific recommendations rather than the existing generalized way of recommendation given to farmers. We are updating this application from time to time in collaboration with the Ministry of Water and also with the Ministry of Agriculture. And thank you for
thank you very much, Dr. Mohammed. Your presentation was very attractive, actually. Now we have 15 minutes as question and answer. Which one have question? Please raise your hand, please. Yes, please.
I would like to thank the speakers for a very interesting presentation. I have two questions actually. The first one is for Mr. Muziri. I'm asking about the long-term impact on soil salinity by repeating these cycles of irrigation at the time with such saline water under hot climate. What would be the impact on soil salinity, which ultimately will affect very much the yield of the crop? Then my second question is for Mr. Mahi, if I could put both questions together. Mr. Mahi, I'm very glad to hear about the activity of ICARD, and you mentioned the collaboration with the Ministry of Water. But I see most of your work here is relevant to the work of the Water Management Research Institute at NWRC. So I wonder how far is the collaboration between ICARD and the Institute in order to maximize the benefits in Egypt, as well as for transferring from other countries to the situation here in Egypt. Thank you for answering the question.
Thank you, Dr. Safwat. Dr. Muzi.
Okay, thank you so much for that question. It is true that the more you irrigate saline water, the more there is increase in soil salinity. So this is true, but of course there is a solution to this. First of all, you have to look into the type of crop that you are planning to grow. For us at CARES, we are currently interested in halophytes, not any other common type of halophyte, but halophytes that actually are able to absorb salts from the soil. So in this way, of course, when there is an increase in soil salinity, the crops, these halophytes, will be able to absorb most of the salts from the root zone. And currently, we are working on it's a kind of a biofertilizer that we hope will aid in the breakdown of salts in the root zone. So this is some kind of work that we are doing. It's still in the research phase, but we hope the results will be impressive. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mahi.
Thank you, Professor Safwat. As you know that ICARD is working on research or development, so what we are doing is trying to bridge the gap between research and development, or other words, from between research and sustainability. And that's why we have to work with national partners, national research partners, and also with ministries. So with NWRC, we have many current research and ongoing activities. So we started with, but as you know that with NWRC, we are working on a research level. But when we are proving the concept of our innovations at a research level, we need some kind of scalability and dissemination across the country. And this through bigger projects, and they have to be conducted with the ministry, because the Ministry of Water Resources and Irrigation can support us with many complementary interventions. For example, if we have an innovation, we need also some kind of accessibility, availability, water user association, dissemination, so many complementary interventions that we need. And that's why we have to work in parallel with both NWRC, where we already have currently 3 research projects, and also with the ministry, where we have 2 projects. And also we are working not only with NWRC, we are working with ERC, for example, Agricultural Research Center and Desert Research Center. And one of our comparative advantage here at NWRC is that we have brought both DRC and DRC in one project, which is Desert Farming Project, so we are complementing each other. So for sure we are working with the research institutions, but we cannot ignore working with the ministry, either Ministry of Water or Ministry of Agriculture.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you very much for giving me the chance to ask the presenters. I have also 2 questions to the same presenters. The first one is to Dr. Mazri. You mentioned that the aquaponic system you showed us. My first question, is it closed system, confined, or in open area? This is my first one. And also, how you do the getting rid of the ammonia and the nitrates before you take this water to the crops. In this case, what is the name? One. Okay. And the filters. Do you use filters in perimeter or not? My second question is to Dr. Wahi. You mentioned electrolysis, and from practice, it has been in practice for many years, but the problem of it, yes, it separates sodium chloride, but after a few years, it comes back with a very strong bond and will make deterioration in the soil classification. Is there any way to get rid of this?
Thank you, Dr. Well. Dr. Mosey, please.
All right, thank you. So the system that I just showed you at chaos, it's actually, because if it was a closed system, it means water would come from the aquaculture tanks to the crops and back to the aquaculture tanks. No, like it's an open system. But how we get rid of ammonia, of course, we have a biological filter that contains beneficial microorganisms that aid to convert the toxic ammonia into a less toxic form of nitrogen, actually the nitrates, which the plants can use as a nutrient source.
Thank you. Dr. Martin.
Reverse osmosis is the best, I mean, among all desalination systems, but the problem is that it's very expensive, and also the input water waste is higher than others. But for electrodialysis, and also even there is another lower level of efficiency, which is magnetic treatment. This is only relevant and suitable under sandy soil conditions where the water is infiltrated quickly. So anyway, the water is brackish. So the system is desalinating the water, and then the water is coming back to the groundwater. So it's the cycle. But for sure, it's not relevant to heavy clay soil. Yes.
Dr. Shini.
Thank you, Dr. Ahmad, for your presentations. My question is about already a study related to genetic engineering or tissue cultures for rural applications and so on, about the waste management to produce the energy and minimize the input waste. Thank you.
Yeah, okay, which innovation you are talking about?
First, for tissue culture and genetic engineering for selecting the group and use the
okay.
time of growing.
Yes, okay. Actually, at ICATA we have different teams and partners. Yes, I know. We are working at the soil water and agronomy team. We have our breeding colleagues who are working in genetic agriculture, and how can, for example, they create or develop from time to time based on generations, second generation, third generations, new varieties that can withstand salinity and also water scarcity conditions and so on. So for sure we have our colleagues. Unfortunately, Dr. Ahmed was here yesterday, but he didn't come today. So he's one of our breeders that might have answered your question.
The second one is using the biofuels from the waste of applications. Is it feasible to depend on the producing the energy and reducing the carbon footprint?
So we started to work something like that few years ago, but currently we don't have any kind of interventions or activities with this regard. But we have already worked on that because we are also working on improving the integration between water, energy, and food. So we have many activities, even including soil amendments, including biochar program that I have presented here. But actually, currently we are not working on this topic.
Thank you, Dr. Mahi, for your presentation. I will ask you about the Water Food Energy Index. I would like to ask you, did you consider the life cycle assessment during your work? What indicators you consider for the environment? It's only CO2. I would like also to ask, you calculate the index for 2,000 farmers or almost. How many crops did you consider in the index? And did you consider social indicators? And if yes, how you can convert the qualitative one to quantitative? As an example, the acceptance of the farmer for your methods. Thank you.
So actually, the index was just a trial to try to compare between different farming systems under different agronomic conditions, soil types, irrigation systems, and so on, because we were not able to assess or to have a score. For example, if we are talking about drip irrigation, it might be, for example, if we are talking about water saving, it might be better. But in terms of energy, in terms of carbon dioxide emission, we are not sure. So if we are talking about it, so it was a trial to have some kind of scoring, and we have started initial discussions with stakeholders from water, from agriculture, from energy, and so on. And we have agreed to have this average or arithmetic way of distributing the weight of each pillar. For example, now each pillar is 25%. So it's just a trial. But now we are updating that, especially that we started in this year, in 2025, a new project to modify and update this Nexus Index in Egypt, Morocco, and Jordan. Yeah, okay. So now for carbon dioxide, for environment, we have already, first we have included the carbon dioxide emission as one clear and obvious indicator of assessing the environment and ecology. And also there's a big difference, especially for example in Egypt, as you know that sometimes pumps have, for example, more than 25 years old, and the carbon dioxide emission is too high and so on. So we try to use this index using only carbon dioxide as an indicator for ecology. And I think the question is yes.
Did you use life cycle assessment?
No, it was
life cycle assessment?
No, was that experiment or that case study that I have already presented? It was for in 2023, 2024 for wheat, pepper, and barley crops, because it's different from one crop to another. I mean this index. So we didn't use life cycle. It's all, so far it's only for 2 years, but it has to be considered for sure in the future. If we are talking, for example, about drip irrigation, so drip irrigation might have another impact if we are talking about 5 or 10 years life cycle. So for 2023, 2024 only, but I think we have to consider life cycle.
Okay. What about the index? It's for drip irrigation and surface irrigation, which is better?
No, actually, if I talk about water saving, only the water pillar.
Water saving.
No, I mean, yes, I mean, if you are focusing on water pillar, for sure, drip irrigation might be better on the farm level. But if I talk about the way we Nexus approach, so far from our experience, but it cannot be, I mean, it cannot be a clear recommendation. If I talk about sandy soil, so drip irrigation here, I mean the top ranking farmer fields have been found in sandy soil. If you're talking about drip irrigation, for example. But drip irrigation in old lands, in heavy clay soil, was in the middle of our ranking, of our list. So it doesn't mean that drip irrigation in old or heavy clay soil is the same performance like in sandy soil. In sandy soil, it's very clear that it has, maybe because also we didn't apply any other irrigation system in sandy soil, because as you know, by law, drip and sprinkler irrigation are only that we have found to be tested in sandy soils. But in general, we found that furrow irrigation, for example, in old lands excels. And if we are talking about old lands, furrow irrigation. So this excels and has already, but can be, for example, this can be a generalized recommendation in Egypt that furrow irrigation excels in heavy clay soil. From our 2,400 farmer fields, we can clearly say that. Can be generalized, for example, if we are using such index as some kind of extension and irrigation advisory services, for example, to give decision makers a decision that furrow irrigation excels in big leaf soil. So that means that we only apply furrow irrigation in heavy clay soil rather than the drip irrigation according to the indexes. But I think we still need some more investigations and.
Last question, because I'm working in the water food energy index. Did you convert your scale from 0 to 100? Did you convert it to qualitative one? Like say it's, from 0 to 2, it is or 10, it's very poor, it's poor, like that?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Any questions? I have a question for Mr. Musri. What are the key environmental and economical challenges you faced while implementing the integrated aquaculture system in Egypt, and how were they addressed to ensure sustainability?
Sorry, repeat the question again. You're looking at the environmental?
Okay, what are the key environmental and economical aspects, okay, regarding to your system?
All right, so for the economical aspects, of course, this system, it's not that too expensive, but it can still be implemented by an average farmer. And when it comes to the environmental, the challenge that we faced was actually the quality of the sandy soil that we were using. But still, there are ways to improve the organic matter or the nutrient content present in the soil to help support plant growth.
Thank you. Dr.
Also, my question for Mr. Dr. Muziri. I would like you are presenting the use of quinoa plant as a plant that can live with high salinity levels. But I would like to think another way. If the soil is saline, can we use quinoa to uptake salts from the soil? And if yes, for which percent?
It is true. We could use quinoa to reduce the amount of salts present in the root zone, but at which percentage? This we need to do more studies to see.
No, any value. 10%, 20%.
Honestly, currently I cannot comfortably give you a value, but we know that this plant has an efficient root system to absorb the salts from the root zone.
Do you know other plants can do this?
Of course, we have jatropha. It could do this, and then mangroves do absorb salts from the soil, but still they precipitate the salts on the shoots and the leaf system.
Thank you. Any question? Yes, please.
Thank you very much, Ahmed Abdelrahim, Ministry of Foreign Affairs. My first question is going towards Professor Shireen Zahran. In your part related to climate change vulnerability in Africa, you mentioned something about the numbers or the figures towards the adaptation costs in Africa. And you know how much we're bearing the costs of adaptation compared to the other continents. So I would be very thankful if you could just indicate the figures in 1 or 2 African countries, including Egypt, in order to compare with the other countries, especially in the north. My second question is going towards Professor Mugwanya. I understood that the underground brackish water is depending mainly on the aquifer systems, especially here in Egypt. But at the same time, we don't know till now the quantity remaining in the aquifers here in Egypt. For example, if we will be talking about the Nubian aquifer system, all what we know is that we have 40 billion cubic meter, and with the current climate change conditions, we're not even sure if it will continue till the year 2100. So we just want to know the situation from you, if you have any numbers about that, and at least the situation of the aquifers in Egypt for the next 100 years. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your questions. From my presentations on my slides, I address these points that the extreme events comes from suffering in all of the Africa will cost more than 400 billion. It's distributed between different economic sectors, and people buy and insurers according to increase in temperatures by 0.3 per decade. This study addressed in the slide.
Second question, Dr. Musi.
Regarding the amount of water present in the aquifers and whether it will be enough to sustain agriculture production, unfortunately, one of my colleagues who is an expert in this field did not come here today, so I think he's the best person to answer to your question.
Thank you very much. At the end of the session, I would like to thank all presenters, Dr. Mahi, Dr. Musri, Dr. Shireen, and I would like to thank you. Thank you very much for your questions and your participants. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Mood. Thank you, Dr. Huda, for your moderating perfectly the session. Okay, we will take a 15 minutes break or dash. We need to start the session, inshallah, at 4 sharp. See you in 15 minutes. 2 presentations, then a panel discussion. This session will be moderated by Dr. Noha Kamal and Dr. Hiba Kamal. Please join us to the podium, and the floor is yours, Dr. Noha, to start the session.
Good afternoon and happy Ramadan. And I'm honored to be moderating this session, which is titled as International Cooperation and the Cross-Sectorial Partnership. Assisting me today, Dr. Hiba Kamal, as admin for this session. And as we all know that the water is one of our most vital resources, essential for life, health, and economic development. However, as we face increasing challenges such as water scarcity, climate change, and population growth and pollution, effective water management has never been more critical. Collaboration across borders and sectors is not just an idea, it is a necessity. So in this context, international cooperation and the cross-sectorial partnerships are key to addressing these challenges. By working together across borders and sectors, governments and the private sectors also, we can share knowledge, resources and innovation solutions that transcend local limitation. Today's session will explore how global partnership, inclusive frameworks and innovation models can drive progress toward sustainable water security and development. We will hear from experts who will share their insights on successful partnership that we have made a difference. Let us kick off our session with the first speaker, Dr. Ayman Ayat, which represented the presentation with title of Leveraging Partnership and Innovation. Dr. Ayman Ayat currently managing the EU portfolio of cooperation in water and utilities, which amounts to more than 550 euros of grants, leveraging funds from European Financial Institution, EFI, for nearly 3 billion euros. He contributed to the programming identifications in close cooperation with the beneficiary institutions and Egypt in the water sector since 2013, and assist in launching Team Europe initiative in water and food security and EU Green Facility. His professional experience consists of 18 years of experience in water and utility sectors in various positions, including 2 years experience in academia at Alexandria University. The floor is yours.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Ayman Ayed, and Water and Social Infrastructure Program Manager in the EU delegation. So, so I thought being with such distinguished scholars and professors that my presentation could be somehow a refreshment at the end of the day. So it will focus more on the other side of the coin, which is the development finance, and how working in the development world, how the development organizations look into the linkages between research and innovation and cooperation for development. Because this is a burning issue, especially as we move ahead and we go through a more challenging and complex environment, not only in the water sector, but in several spheres. Creating sustainable linkages between research, innovation, public-private partnership, and traditional support and finance is much needed. That's why, especially in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic, it appears that the interlinkages and the nexus approach is a priority. That's why from the European dimension, the European Union and EU member states came with the concept of the Team Europe approach and Team Europe initiative. It started as a collective effort to safely deliver and distribute the COVAX, the vaccines, the COVAX alliance, and given its success, it was agreed to have a common approach in the priority themes in the key partner countries. In Egypt, it was agreed to have two Team Europe initiatives, one integrated water and food security, and the second in connected economies covering energy, transport, and digitalization. Our Team Europe initiative for water and food security have been adopted by EU member states and the Egyptian government and have been initiated in the last Cairo Water Week in a ceremony that was attended by both the Director General for Environment, the EU Head of Delegation, and the Minister of International Cooperation and Minister of Foreign Affairs. What is the Team Europe approach? So every EU member states and financing institutions have its own priorities for supporting projects and activities in the water and food security. And that will be still the same approach, yet there's a coordination mechanism being developed to ensure there's no overlap and that the international initiatives such as the EU Global Gateway and other initiatives are well connected together, and that a Team Europe approach could be the investment tool and policy tool to deliver those priorities. As I said, in Egypt there's a big interest from different EU member states and development organizations to support that, and the modes of support varies from technical assistance, from twinning, to support regulatory measures, also providing investment to national priorities, support to private sector engagement, and macro-financial assistance. For those of you know this, the EU is committing 4 billion euros of macro-financial assistance to support the the national budget of Egypt, and under which some indicators or policy reform indicators will be directed in the water sector with the aim to support the national priorities set by the Egyptian government and the state ownership policy. This will also be linked by support to national investments, either ongoing or future, and to support providing sustainable financing mechanisms to private sector engagement as per the state ownership policy in the water sector and agriculture, again in the areas that have been identified by the Egyptian government in the state ownership policy, like the sludge management, industrial wastewater reuse, agricultural productivity. This is just a basic outline that it was agreed and it was mentioned in the EU-Egypt strategic partnership that Egypt acknowledges the acute water scarcity Egypt is facing, and which is affecting the safe delivery and for water, and especially further exorbitant with climate change impacts and rapid population increase, and that the huge dependency on the Nile River. That's why jointly there have been some analysis on what are the key bottlenecks from the development and the cooperation side on the challenges that needs to be addressed on the short, medium terms. For those who are looking at the screen, there is no, let's say, surprise on what are the issues or the challenges that guide us in our programming cycle in the next period, which we hope to translate each of those challenges commonly identified to an area of focus and to be translated into a set of array of programming projects, whether in the form of, let's say, technical assistance or investments or policy dialogue if needed. Again, from the EU side, there is a strategic response. We have, Egypt have signed with the European Union EU-Egypt Water Strategic Partnership, which is one of its kind. Only 3 to 4 countries signed this in that direction, which emphasizes the importance of connecting innovation research towards water management. Again, what is really important is that from the European side there's a distinction between research and development and innovation. Innovation is clearly, and I quote from the European Commission guidelines, is that the development or adoption of new concept ideas and or approaches, or to adopt new ideas themselves, as well as the exploitation of those ideas, which encompass not only the technical but also organizational, social, business model innovation. While the research and development includes basic research, increased knowledge on a subject matter, applied research, experimental development, focusing on gathering knowledge, new knowledge and technology. So there is a clear definition on research and development and innovation, and that's why the new wave or the new prioritization on innovation in the EU programming cycle and projects funded like PRIMA and NextMed and others will focus on innovation with a clear definition of the expectation on the concept level and the implementation level, and also the availability for scalability later on to be implemented at the mass level. Again, that's also a very important part because Egypt challenges and investment needs are huge, as shown here in the National Climate Change Strategy 2050. As per this table and this strategy, the investment needs of Egypt are huge and cannot be covered by national budget, by traditional grant or OED finance. That's why the inclusion of private sector and non-traditional finance is key, and there where the importance of having innovation as an integral part to ensure that solutions could be provided on ground and to be transferred into actions. Also, the linkage with NWAFI, the Nexus Water, Food and Energy, being a national initiative launched in the COP27 with certain priorities in the water and agriculture sector, whether being desalination, whether it's being irrigation improvement, agricultural productivity in Upper Egypt and the Delta, addressing sea level rise. So there are certain priorities where the Egyptian government said that those are the priorities. That's why from the European dimension, those have been translated into priorities for research and innovation calls in the near future, either in 2024 and others. Those were set as a priority and were given as a priority for support under the European sphere. And that's why I would like to emphasize that what we set as a priority or a policy-based research have to be integrated with the national investments and to be integrated with the national priorities set by different levels, whether being at the government level or at the regional level. Here also, as I said, the type of support could be given, there are different layers. We've been always asked, we have whether the development finance, whether in the form of technical assistance, support to strategies, how it could be linked to innovation. That's why the EU-Egypt partnership and the Team Europe will work on that to have an integrated approach, not to work in isolated silos. So you don't work on research and development for the research and development, while you have a similar program working on the development side, working at a different entity, maybe under the same ministry or under the same sector, with the same objective, but with different hats. So the approach should be integrated. That's why in the next programming cycle, an integrated and thematic support is designed to ensure the linkage between research, private sector involvement, including the provision of possible credit line facilities and other guarantee and de-risking for the private sector to adopt such plausible innovations and approaches at a mass scale level, and support the technical studies with a focus on supporting the regulatory reforms needed to introduce and implement those innovations at a national level. Also working in the budget support, meaning to support the national government through direct macro-financial assistance in exchange of certain reform benchmarks that could enable the environment for the implementation of such innovation or such priorities, whether being in the digitalization aspects or reducing water losses in the urban water management or improving climate smart agriculture or others depending on the priority. So the whole backbone should be integrated at the national level, at the technical level and implementation level. And that's why your role and together is to find the linkages and to try to lobby within our organizations and also to ensure the connection between innovation and implementation. Also, we've been working to support the different project cycle management, and this is also an important factor because in many research programs, we've seen that the application from pilot level to investment level is missing. That's why there's a dedicated financing agreement that was signed in the Cairo Water Green Facility. We'll work with the technical ministries in the Egyptian government, Ministry of Water Resources, Ministry of Irrigation, Ministry of Housing, to bridge this gap, to upscale based on the agreed themes, the innovation schemes that have been proven successful at pilot level, and to analyze and to provide a market study and a full financial study to be able to attract investment, whether it comes from national resources or from private sector, to be able to upscale and to see where are the bottlenecks on the organizational, technical or legal aspects to unlock it for further expansion. As I said, we had tried and made some pilot testing to this concept in some themes successfully with the Ministry of Water Resources, with the Ministry of Housing and the PPP unit, where we have tested certain, let's say, technologies in the sludge management or industrial wastewater, and with the support for their inclusion under the PPP tender law, to be tendered for the private sector and also to engage with the different stakeholders. And as I said, in the future, we hope with the signature of the E-Green facility that we will have a sustainable support for that. In addition, of course, to the thematic calls that we have under BRIMA and NextMed Interreg, where Egypt has successfully, in the last call, taken around 26 calls out of the 60 winning calls, including, I think, one for the National Water Research Center. Congratulations for that. And I think this will be a key aspect, and we are planning, and hopefully that we'll have a series of capitalization workshops to get the lesson learned of the previous calls and what are the bottlenecks for the implementation at a higher level, an investment level, and how we can bridge this gap in the next programs and the next calls. Again, as I said, as looking forward, what we are focusing on, again, given the finance gap and the limitation on in national government budget for investments or budget, the involvement of private sector, both at whether it's been at the innovation side, that the technical vocational education training, merging innovation thematic centers with the private sector is much needed. Also scaling up innovative water saving technologies, policy harmonization and governance reform, so translating successful cases into the national level, and of course engaging in a continuous dialogue with the different stakeholders to fine-tune a complete cycle to achieve the required results. And thank you for your kind listening to my speech, and looking forward to hear from your questions.
Thank you, Dr. Ayman, for your informative presentation, which defined the Egypt water security challenges and the EU strategy response, in addition to Egypt National Climate Change Strategy 2050 and the leverage international collaboration. Now we skip to the second presenter with us, Dr. Yasmin Abdul Masoud. Dr. Yasmin will discuss with us integration of SDGs and gender inclusion in the WIF Nexus. Dr. Yasmin had the PhD of Applied Science and Engineering with the concentration in Environmental Engineering from American University in Cairo 2018, and the Master also from Environmental Engineering from the American University in 2008. She has environmental expert in sectors of industry, energy, urban development and agriculture, sustainability, water and wastewater treatment, solid waste management, climate change adaptation and resilience, nature-based solutions. She certified consultant in implementing environmental management system and conducting environmental impact assessments. The floor is yours, Doctor.
Good afternoon. First of all, Ramadan Kareem. Second of all, we congratulate National Water Research Center on their 5th anniversary, and we hope and we wish them a lot of forward and ongoing success. Today I am going to, because this is the final presentation, and actually it's the end of a long fasting day, it's a very simple, we can say, tips about funding for our projects. As Dr. Mohammed Shaban yesterday was talking about the need of treatment plants for the drainage water, so we need funding. As Dr. Ines said, she wants to upscale the WEF model. They have, so they need funding. So whether we are doing the research, whether we aim to have a national project, we need funding. So what's available for us? Actually, this is quoted from the webpage of the Central Bank of Egypt. The Central Bank of Egypt said that Egypt is having severe problems related to scarcity of water resources, scarcity of energy resources, pollution problems. Egypt suffers from climate change impact, although we only have 0.6% of greenhouse gas emissions. So what is said that we need sustainable finance that incorporate environmental and social and governance into the products or the financial products or the financial incentives that are giving or are being offered to either the government or the private sector. And incorporating these sustainable development goals will have positive impacts on the lenders, on the whole society. So this is not only the case for the Central Bank of Egypt, which have this mandate, I think, from 2022, but also worldwide on international financial bodies as well. The UNEP has the financial initiative or finance initiative that promotes principles for sustainable banking, principles for sustainable insurance, and principles for sustainable investment. Of course, we are not going to talk about all of them, but we're going to talk about the first two principles of responsible banking. As you see, principle one is alignment. Alignment with SDGs, alignment with Paris Agreement, alignment with national and international laws, including human rights. The second one is impact setting, which is lowering the negative impacts of the development and fostering the positive impacts of the development. And of course, the other principles talk about engagement with stakeholders, talk about transparency and governance. For example, we have the European EBRD, the European Bank for Development. They have the GET initiative, or the Green Economy Transition, which aims to have 50% of their investment directed to green finance, and also to lower their greenhouse gas emissions through their investments. Similarly, financial bodies have their also exclusion criteria. So not all the projects can be financed according to each bank. But in general, we can say that as fund seekers, or as we are drafting our proposals for finance, we need to incorporate four main criteria. Of course, integrating the SDGs, integrating the necessity for road to net zero, assessing the physical and transition climate risks, and the inclusion, the idea of inclusion. And I will highlight just points about each of them. Of course, when we talk about the SDGs, we know that we have 17 goals, 169 targets, and 232 indicators. Some cluster them as the 3 E's, which are environment, social equity, and economic, and some cluster them as the 5 P's, which are people, prosperity, planet, peace, and partnership. However, whenever you are drafting your proposal, you can check the SDG trackers, and they have this is a website, and you can have the status of each indicator and each target all over the countries. Okay, when we talk about the Paris Agreement, of course, all of us know that the Paris Agreement needs to limit the global warming below 2 degrees centigrade, and they claimed, or they demanded countries to have their NDCs, which they say, each country voluntarily say its ambition to achieve greenhouse gas reductions. One of the Paris mandates was to direct global finance to low carbon transition projects, and also to increase adaptation and resilience of the countries and the projects. So, however, after the NDCs were set, and they found that we should have 45% reduction of GHGs by 2030, and until we've come to net zero, where all the emitted greenhouse gases are not offset, but are withdrawn from the atmosphere. But actually what we have got, that's code red for humanity, at 2019, we only achieved 2.6% of the required greenhouse gas emissions reductions. I'll give you an example of what we are hearing a lot about now is green hydrogen. And Egypt has a very ambitious strategy to be one of the green hydrogen exporters in the world. Our Egyptian strategy is to have 200 tons of hydrogen and 1.1 million tons of green ammonia. However, this is one of the issues that reflect global access trade-offs. I need green energy. However, what we need to have green hydrogen is electrolysis, water electrolysis. So if this water is sustainable, which means that the water is not used for agriculture, the water is not used for domestic use. So this is a very important thing to consider. And actually, when Egypt is exporting the hydrogen, we have this condition of assuring that this is a sustainable water resource. Another thing we should be considering is climate risks, which is physical and transition risks on the project. And let's talk about examples of these risks. When we talk about physical risks, we know that we have the chronic physical risks and we have the acute physical risks. Can anybody tell me a chronic physical risk? Okay, a chronic physical risk, something like water scarcity. Water scarcity is chronic. We don't have the effect of it at once, but all over the years we feel its impact. Another chronic is sea level rise. All over the years we have this effect, but acute, it strike and it hit like the floods. For example, when we have that extreme precipitation that happened 2 years ago in Darna, so it struck. For example, when we have extreme heat waves, people die. So we have class of physical risks, including extreme precipitation, flooding, either river flooding or coastal flooding, and we have droughts and wildfires. For example, if I'm going to have a treatment plant, this treatment plant in an area which is prone to heat waves, so I have to consider that my plant will not be affected by losing its efficiency or deteriorating of the plants. For example, the same treatment plant, if it has extreme precipitation and it has open tanks, biological treatment tanks, whatever, and we have dilution of the water in it, so I'm losing its efficiency. So either I have to consider the safety of the project components and also the efficiency of the project components. So this is a type of physical risks. What is transitional risks? And we can have, for example, policy risks. And one of the major policies that have affected the private sector in Egypt is the CBAM, the Carbon Border Adjustment Mechanism, because they say that if you are an energy-intensive industry, for example, steel, fertilizer, cement, you cannot have greenhouse gas emissions that are higher than a limit. So if I am an industry that cannot abide to this limit, I am in a risk of losing my market. Similarly, when we talk about litigation risk, for example, in the cement industry, the government have asked the cement industry to have certain amount of burning of alternative fuels, either municipal solid waste, either sludge, either whatever type of waste. So if I'm a plant that failed to achieve this percentage, I am at a risk of losing my market as well. Sometimes we have a technology risk. And what is a technology risk? When we go to the vehicle market, now we have the electricity or the electrical vehicles. So there is a risk that the market of ordinary vehicles are diminishing. And this will include, of course, labor losing their employment opportunities. And we have a reputation risk, for example. As I said, for example, that banking sector do not fund heavy consumers of fossil fuels. So this is all type of risks. When we talk about project activity, we have also to put in mind all our risks, either they are physical or transitional. The fourth criteria we have to look about is inclusion. And inclusion is not only about gender. Actually, we have a lot of classes of vulnerable and disadvantaged groups. For example, we can say children. So if I am in an agricultural project and one of my targets can be the undernourishment of children. For example, I have youth. All the projects we have the component of capacity building. So boot camps for youth in schools or boot camps in universities, entrepreneurship skills for them might be a very good point for inclusion. People with disabilities. When we talk about climate change, disaster plan and evacuation plans, people with disabilities are very prone to climate risks and threats. When we talk about the elderly, of course, they are most prone to heat waves and health effects from climate change as well. So it's not only about indigenous people, but also informal workers working in agriculture. If I'm having droughts, people might be losing their livelihoods. So this is all parts of inclusion, or examples of inclusion. A last one I'm going to talk about is climate change-induced migration. For example, here it was in the African Horn for 5, I think, seasons, there were no rainfall. Accordingly, 13 million were facing severe hunger, 3.6 million of the livestock died, but 1 million people were displaced. And they were displaced along Africa. However, in Egypt now, for the last 5 or 6 years, we have been receiving a lot of migrants from the countries around us. So if I'm having a project that can include all these people, it's a point of strength for us. Why? Because the area of influence of the project should be inclusive to all the stakeholders that are within this area. Okay, so this was an introduction about the importance of the inclusion of these criteria, and I'm going to talk about the wealth nexus. So, of course, the wealth nexus, it's all about the trade-offs between what's needed in the energy, what's in the water sector, and what's needed in the food sector. And there have been a lot of presentations today, so I'm not going to talk more about it. But why we need it? Of course, because increased population, increased urbanization, and increased economic growth put a lot of pressure on our natural resources. Doctor, you have 5 minutes. 5 minutes? Yes. Okay. So this was one of the examples of wealth nexus. Actually, here, what was interesting in this that it was in Canary Islands, and then the government has adopted to have a twinning of wind turbines with desalination. So you see here that we have the desalination plant. Desalinated water is kept in the bottom reservoir. Whenever you are having excess energy, the water goes up to the upper limit, and then if you have less energy, then this water generates energy, and the water is used for agriculture. Of course, we have priority SDGs and we have related SDGs that are incorporated in the wealth nexus. This is one of the wealth nexus indexes that are published on the internet. These index have been published based on 21 index, and these 21 indexes are published all over by several organizations, and they are unified for all the countries. And if we can have a look, this is for Egypt. However, you find that Of course, having the accessibility of the water, drinking water, a part of the water energy. For the water pillar, for the energy pillar, of course, you have percentage of renewable energy in the energy mix. And for the food pillar, you have indicators like obesity, like percentage of stunned children, and the percentages of mortality in children, and others. And the final thing I would like to talk about is the gender gap index. Normally when we talk about gender inclusion, we think only about the employment of the ladies. But actually when we talk about gender inclusion, there are other parameters that can be integrated in the project. The gender gap index is published every year by the World Economic Forum, and they have 4 main pillars. The first one is the economic participation and opportunity. The other one is the educational attainment. The last one, the third one is the health and survival, and the fourth is the political empowerment. When we talk about the political empowerment, we talk about people in women in parliament, women in ministries, and women as head of states. So in this sub-index, we are very low. When we talk about health, we have 2 major sub-index, which are the percent of birth and the life expectancy, and we are near 1 actually. And when we talk about the educational attainment, we talk about the literacy rate, we talk about primary, secondary, and tertiary education. The other one which we are lagging in is the economic participation and opportunity. Normally this gender gap index have a range from 0 to 1. So 0 is complete inequality, 1 is complete equality. And this is the results for the MENA region, or the 3 for Egypt, Morocco, and Algeria, and actually we are about 4.6. And the major inequalities are in the economic empowerment and the political empowerment. And this is the sub-index in the Global Gender Gap Index. We find that we have the labor force participation rate, and it's very low in Egypt, especially that we have a lot of informal workers. Also the wage inequality, the estimated earning income, and the senior officials and managers, and percentage of professional and technical workers. So, and also the gender gap index has another indicators or supplementary indicators talking about the number of ladies having their own firms, number of ladies in board members. So whenever we are designing a gender empowerment activity, it's not only about the direct employment, but other things can be also included. 1 minute, Doctor. Now for me, it's okay. At the end of the day, we would like to collaborate together to end poverty, fight inequality, and address the urgency of climate change adaptation and resilience. And thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Yasmin, for your insightful presentation, which discovered the partnership and the green finance. Also, you covered the integration of SDGs and gender inclusion in the weak nexus, especially in Egypt and MENA region. Now we'll go to the panel discussion, an important topic about the successful models of the Global Water Productivity Project. As we all know that the significance of water productivity can't be overstated, and it impacted the food security, economic stability, and environmental health. By learning from successful models, we can identify best practices and strategies that can be adapted and implemented in various contexts. We are fortunate to have a distinguished panel of experts with us today who have extensive experience in water management, agriculture, and sustainability. I invite in our panel set Dr. Ayman Ayab, already with us, and Dr. Yasmin, and Dr. Mohi Omar, and Dr. Volkert, the first secretary for water management in Netherlands Embassy in Egypt. as it is an important topic as we talk about the successful models of water productivity and if there's model in yours. So the first question here, if you could each of you share a specific project or model briefly you have implemented and has significantly improved water productivity. We can begin with Dr. Ayman Ayat.
I mean, we have in the European Union, European several successful cases, but I'll talk about, for me, an interesting program that we helped to launch, which is the Kitchener Drain Rehabilitation Program. For us, it was a very novel approach because it integrated several investment streams with regard to wastewater, industrial wastewater treatment, agriculture development, irrigation improvement, and solid waste management with the objective of improving the quality of water that is where it was originally being reused for agriculture, and improving water utilization and water quality for reuse in agriculture. This is a very successful program because it links to what I was saying related to the multidisciplinary approach and the nexus approach. And I think with the midterm results seen in the program, implementation of the investments, that by improving the water quality at the mass level, that enabled the farmers as the main beneficiaries to better utilize the program, water uses in the drain to cover the deficit in water, and that came also, I think, in an opportunistic moment where Egypt has been already undergoing a big national program in the canal rehabilitation program, which also could indirectly benefit from that.
By the way, what did the role do emerging technologies and especially within Nexus approach can play in addressing Egypt's water challenges? And how is the EU supporting innovation for the global water productivity?
Well, I will answer in part because Volkert also, with his renowned experience, can tell you more about the excellent experience and initiatives launched by the Dutch government in the water nexus approach. But I would say that as there's a growing interest and understanding on the water scarcity and the water-related challenges, not only in this part of the world, in the southern Mediterranean region, which is one of the most arid regions in the world, but also affecting Europe, it has become evident that, again, linkage innovation to investments and mass production is key. And that's why I believe there is a shift in the mentality of different financing institutions to look thoroughly into innovation, and not traditional research and development, but innovation, and to support through different programs, financial tools, whether it's being academia, startups, micro and small medium enterprises, to find applicable solutions to the local water challenges, especially when we talk about water food nexus. There is no global solution like in the energy sector. The solutions are needed to be found localized depending on the situation on ground, whether related to the weather, related to the soil, related to the water quality or water quantity. There are so many factors that you cannot find that one solution fits all. That's why an array of localized solutions are needed for each specific region. That's why the growing interest and the growing support is going in that direction.
For looking at for 2025, 2030, what are the most critical next steps for strengthening innovation to implementation in the water sector, and what milestones should be expected?
Well, I mean, what are the biggest challenges? I would say governance and access to finance. So we have seen in the previous editions of the Cairo Water Week, for example, brilliant ideas made by young researchers, really brilliant ones. And while tracking them to see where they have developed after presenting those innovative ideas, a small fraction of them been able to to expand or to implement this brilliant ideas in the business development. Although there's a huge demand for that in this region, meaning Egypt or North Africa. Many of that was related to some blockages in the governance system structure or lack of access of finance or lack eligibility to access the existing financial tools. So that's something that we need also to work on that. Plus, on the innovation side, as I said, there are lots, we need to focus on the added value or the areas of expertise. I think one of the lessons learned or what I've seen personally in Europe, that there has been a gradual shift in the academic and research centers in many areas of Europe, rather than going in cross-sectoral or to cover the whole array of research. They are focusing in specific areas that they feel they have an added value and an edge. They had a strong link with private sector. We've seen a lot of cooperation, partnerships, even joint ventures between private sector operators and the local academic institutions at a standard approach. And also, it's that you need to look into the issue on the ground from a multidisciplinary approach. Many research centers and institutions are working in the wide array. That's why in the European Commission definition of innovation, it does not only talk about innovation in technical solution, but also innovation in the governance, social, and business development solutions. So the whole let's say, supply chain, value chain should be integrated and addressed.
Okay, thank you, Doctor. For Dr. Mohi, what is can you share with us a practical model in water productivity improvement?
Okay, so for sure we have been working in different interventions and innovations for water productivity, but I want to emphasize today on one of our examples that we have brought many partners, either on the national scale or at the global scale. Raised machine. This is one of our machines that we have already developed in order to save water on the farm level and also distribute the seeds in a way that can increase the yield. Actually, I want to emphasize and let you know this story because it's a journey of efforts where we have already brought many partners together. Actually, it started with a machine that have already proven its concept on the farm level to save water when we have already designed the land to be based on furrow irrigation and raised beds. But the problem that the machine was heavy. Actually, the machine itself has been designed and manufactured in collaboration with ICARDA and the Agricultural Engineering Research Institute at ARC. So if you look at the machine, you have an impression that the machine belongs to the Ministry of Agriculture. But actually, when we started to work on the field, so we have started to work with many farmers across the country. So we found that the machine itself has not been disseminated the way that we planned for. Actually, when we have assessed the scalability, why this machine has not been scaled the way that we planned for, we found that the main issue is that the machine is simply heavy. It's more than 1 ton, so the tractors, the available and common tractors in all lands and in governorates in Egypt are not available to pull this machine. So in order to use this machine in the right way, we wanted to modify the design. Then we have already developed the lightweight machine. So now the question is, the machine is available, and the Agricultural Engineering Research Institute at ARC, at the Ministry of Agriculture, has already, with ICARDA, developed this machine. So how can we disseminate the machine? So we have come to the Ministry of Water Resource and Irrigation, and through the water user associations, we have disseminated the machines to, as a first step, to 5 water user associations. The lightweight raised machines have been used by local tractors, 35 horsepower, which are common and available everywhere in any village in Egypt. So the machines have been distributed in collaboration with the Ministry of Water Resource and Irrigation. So now the machine is scalable everywhere. Then we have transferred the machine to Syria, because the first machine we have transferred to Syria also had the same problem, that the machine was heavy and cannot be scalable and so on. So I mean, this one example that we have already improved the water productivity on the farm level, at the country level here in Egypt and also in Syria, after we have already achieved, or after we have already brought all partners together, Ministry of Water, Ministry of Agriculture, and everyone, I mean from the highest level at both ministries, to the farmers themselves were enthusiastic to disseminate these machines. And I think for the next phase, what we are targeting now is to distribute more and more raised machines to more farmers. So I think this is one example of how we brought many partners together in order to utilize an innovation that has proven its concept to improve the water productivity.
Thank you, Doctor. My question now for Dr. Folkert. Okay, if you have, can you share with us, as others, model or project can improve an enhancement of the water productivity in Egypt, and also not only in Egypt, by the way. What are the considerations for also the modernization of irrigation system in Egypt? Okay.
Yes, thank you very much, and happy to be here. The question is rather difficult, and I can answer it from two directions. One from a technical one, as me being a civil engineer, so looking at the technicalities of modernization of irrigation and all the benefits and merits and the advantages and disadvantages of various techniques, but also about being one of the donors of the bilateral water collaboration between the Netherlands and in Egypt, and also being one of the EU member states. And let me begin by the latter, because Ayman sparked some ideas in my mind that I think we need to address here. Because we talk about the international collaboration, also which is very relevant for the Ministry of Water Resources and the NWRC. And the Netherlands has been collaborating with Egypt in the field of water and agriculture for exactly 49 years. Next year we celebrate our 50th year of collaboration. And it has always been much characterized by capacity building, doing studies, doing research, doing innovation. A lot was money came from ODA funds from the Netherlands. A lot of collaborative research, but we do see now that the climate of collaboration is changing in the Netherlands and in the region. And I think that's what Ayman also hinted at. In the Netherlands, but also in Germany, but also in Europe, we put more and more focus nowadays on private sector involvement, especially for the financing. Because we do see that ODA is not able to finance, to cover the entire gap that is required in Egypt, but also not in Jordan, but in the entire MENA, Asia and Africa regions. So private sector is very much important. And I do believe that if you talk about innovation and research innovation, but also scaling, especially the private sector does have an added value, because they are the ones who implement new technologies. They experiment with new concepts, they implement it, they see the benefits. And only if they see a benefit financially, it will be scaled. So we can study a lot for a number of years about modernization of irrigation, but the proof is in the pudding if the farmers are going to scale, yes or no. And if they're not scaling, then somehow there's something missing. It can be on the technical side, the technology is not working, or on the financial side, that the technology is too expensive, or has other side effects. So they need to be looked into very carefully. And this discussion is actually going on in the Netherlands at this moment. Where is the added value of the Netherlands in Egypt? We know from the Netherlands, from some water aspects, we are quite advanced in drinking water, in sanitation. But other subjects, like desertification for instance, we are not so advanced because we don't have a desert in the Netherlands. So we really have to look, and it's my task for the coming years to see where is our added value in Egypt to collaborate with the ministries, but also to collaborate especially with the private sector in this field of innovation and research, to see if we can find solutions that are scalable and are being financed by the private sector. And then of course the question is, how does the collaboration between the Egyptian private sector and the European private sector comes to shape? So it's quite a lot of work to be done in the coming years. And this brings me back to the other side of the question, basically, a concrete example. At this moment we are implementing together with NWRC and the FAO a project called Modernization of Irrigation in Upper Egypt. And it is to experiment with various irrigation techniques for various crops, depending on the soils, etc., and to see which one are good for which kind of situation. And a huge part of the project goes indeed into drip irrigation. And we talked about it before, we also talked about it before. There was a question about the merits of drip irrigation. And of course we all know from the literature, yes, drip irrigation at local level can have an advantage, depending on the soil, depending on the crop, etc. But in this project we actually see that the farmers are very reluctant to give their consent to drip irrigation. And I started to ask, well, why is that if everybody will use it? Well, depending also on the soil and the crop, there are also questions about the larger scale, the backflow towards the Nile, the soil health, the leaching, the volume of water that is required for the leaching, so how much water is actually required. A big question is also being asked about the continuous flow, because drip irrigation requires continuous flow, and if that's not available, then it may not be useful to implement the drip irrigation system. There seem to be positive effects on fertigation, that is mentioned by the farmers. But mainly the farmers said, we're concerned about the costs and the future operation and maintenance. And nice that you come with a project to implement drip irrigation system in 800 or 1200 fadans, whatever it is. But we are the ones that have to maintain it in future. So who's going to maintain it, especially if there's no continuous flow? Okay. So that's a question that comes in my mind, and I think it's a good example of seeing where is the added value of us working together with Egyptian entities in the field of experimenting, and where is the linkage with the entrepreneurs that are working with it. A quick step to another one, because I see my friend El Sayed sitting there after Sweri. I visited him a couple of weeks ago. Under the day2 project, we're now investigating, at the request of Minister Sweden, the Blogger site in Upper Egypt, where experimentation is being held, a comparison is being made between drip irrigation in two sugarcane areas next to each other, similar soil conditions, similar crop conditions, just to clarify whether or not it is a useful technology and if there's a business case to be made. And I'm very much looking forward towards seeing the outcomes of this, because I think then finally, for this case, the sugarcane in Upper Egypt, we can make a conclusion whether or not it is a good business case in Israel. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we go to Dr. Yasmin, and can you share also a model that can improve the water productivity?
Okay, we are in the Center of Applied Research on Environment and Sustainability, have a unique research model for WAF Nexus. Actually, our model is making a focus on the water scarcity we have in Egypt. So first of all, our water source in the WAF Nexus is brackish water. We concentrate on inland desalination. And actually we have two technologies that we are working on. The first one is reverse osmosis, and of course reverse osmosis have been researched a lot and have been advantaged. So what our model here in concentration is about the economic model that can have desalination feasible for agriculture. The other technology we are working on is forward osmosis. Forward osmosis is much more common in the food industries, for example, but we are working on fertilizer-drone forward osmosis, again for the sake of desalination for agriculture. So this is the water part. Of course, we are working in the energy part. We have facilities for solar energy and also biogas production. And in the food nexus, we have working on, as my colleague Moseri have presented, one of our main targets is halified agriculture, saline agriculture. The other focus we have is the integration between agriculture and aquaculture, as well as recirculating aquaculture systems. So our WAF model does not end on this integration alone, but also in the brine management. Actually, we have a patent for brine management, growing special crustaceans on the brine, as well as we are working on the also algae propagation in brine as well. So we have a closed loop or a circular economy where we have no waste out of the model. The last dimension we are working on is actually membrane fabrication for osmosis. So all the research we are doing and upscaling for the WEF Nexus model we have in AUC is to achieve the water productivity, maximizing the production of fish and food, and minimizing the brine and minimizing any waste out of the model.
Thank you, Dr. Yasmin. The last question for Dr. Ayman Ayed, and I hope you should answer correctly according to the time. As I know that there's a relation between always the research, R&D, research and development, and the innovation. And somehow this definition is clear according to the funding entity. What is the optimal definition for the innovation to be accepted for the funding entity? If you can answer this briefly.
Very quickly, as I said, then we could, later on I can share with you the link to the European Commission guideline where it mentioned the definition of innovation. So clearly the difference between research, development and innovation, that research and development focuses on gathering new knowledge and technology, while innovation involves the practical application and commercialization of those developments to create a value added. There's a specific guideline showing what it doesn't really mean in several streams, the difference between innovation, research and development, and of course in the several calls that could also be elaborated. But there's I don't want to say it's strict, but a clear definition for innovation from the European Commission side that could be taken forward and used for the future calls.
Okay, as a basic definition for the innovation?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. We finish our session. Thank you.
Thank you. We'd like to thank all the panelists, Dr. Ayman Ayed, Dr. Mohi, Dr. Volker, Dr. Yasmin, and of course, Dr. Noha and Dr. Heba for moderating the session. Okay, we will now have a 10 minutes break and we will resume with the closing session, inshallah, with the attendance of His Excellency Dr. Hani Sweet. See you in 10 minutes. Professors and colleagues, it's my pleasure to welcome you all to the closing and final session of our two-day workshop entitled Enhancing Water Productivity, Innovation and Strategic Cooperation. Your active engagement and insightful contribution have enriched our discussion throughout the past 2 days. We will start our session with this presentation that will shed light on the key takeaways from the workshop and outlines of the proposed action plan. This will be presented by Professor Ayman Saadi, the Vice President of NWRC. Dr. Ayman, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, everybody, and Ramadan Kareem for you all, and wishing you a pleasant iftar with us today. And I'd like just to go through the workshop and the contents of the workshop. First, I would like just to list the sessions of the 2 days, and the workshop, of course, was sponsored by the FAO and also the JICA under the project of the water productivity in agriculture. The objective of the workshop itself was the highlighting on overall activities carried out during the project, including the aspects and cooperation between the partners from the center, of course the NWRC, the ministry, and the international organizations such as ICARTA. The workshop was in 2 days. The first day has thematic of the foundational knowledge and technical innovation. The second day was the practical solution and future strategies. And the first day we've been having 3 sessions. The first session was about the modern irrigation techniques and soil management. The second session was for the water use and recycling innovation. And the third session was the artificial intelligence and rules for water resources management. For the second day, we 3 sessions. The first session was education awareness and capacity building, and the second one was the climate change resilience in agriculture, water management, and third one was for the international cooperation across sectoral partnership. This is the key points which is highlighted in the workshop, the whole workshop. The first one we would like to highlight for the 5 decades of the age of the NWRC. We are celebrating in this year of the 5 decades of establishing the NWRC. The NWRC is the legacy of scientific research, technological innovation, and policy development in water resources management over the past 50 years. Commitment to driving cutting-edge research and developing real-world solutions to Egypt's water challenges. The second key point we like to highlight on it, the urgency of enhancing water productivity. This is the addressing of the unprecedented water crisis through the integrated approach involving scientific research, innovative technologies, effective policies, and of course the collaboration among stakeholders. The NWRC strategies and visions is the third highlight of this workshop, is the collaborative and holistic research approach, emphasizing on a problem-driven, multidisciplinary and collaborative research strategy to provide comprehensive solutions. The fourth key point is the alignment of the workshop with the NWRC vision. Of course, this is by focusing on the scientific, technological, and policy-driven approaches to enhancing water productivity through several critical themes over 2 years. This is the age of the project, of course. The attendance of this workshop was majorly from the Ministry of the Water Resources and Irrigation, the implementation agency for this project, and we have been joined by 8 international organizations. We have been joined also participated by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. There is 9 research centers attending this workshop, and also from universities, there's 9 universities from attending this workshop, and also the NGO, we have been participating by 2 participants from the NGOs from Egypt. This is the topics of these sessions. For the first day, we've been covered in the first session, they implement the smart technologies in agriculture management projects for climate adaptation. The second topic was utilize the wireless sensors, the artificial intelligence, IoT, GIS for optimal water use for agriculture, of course, and establishing special information databases for improved agriculture resources. For the second session, we've been covered 3 main topics: develop master plan for enhancing agriculture drainage water reuse, and the second one, analyze the financial and socio-economic and environmental impacts, and the third one, implement rainwater harvesting strategies for sustainable water reuse. The third session was covered by 3 presentations. The first one was utilize the UAV systems for digital agriculture and precision farming, and the second one is the leverage remote sensing and AI for advanced water resources management, and the third one is the implement digital tools for water productivity enhancement in Egypt. For the second day, we've been covered also 3 sessions. The first one was having the major topic of the role of communities in enhancing water productivity, focusing on awareness, education, and capacity building through collaboration within the civil societies, universities, and also the government. The second session covered the climate change impact on water agriculture, emphasizing on the climate smart strategies and sustainable water management. The practical solution like the desalination, precision of the irrigation or precise irrigation, biosaline agriculture is available also for enhancing the productivity in saline condition, either in the water or the soil. We've been discussing this issue today, and the last session was for the strengthening international cooperation cross-sector partnership to improve water productivity by exploring innovations and successful global project models. This is the sessions, and this is the highlights of some conclusions comes out of these sessions. For example, the first session we've been concluded for the PICAR offers an effective solution for sustainable agriculture, enhancing water efficiency and soil fertility. Also, the second session, this is one of the major conclusions comes out of the session, is increasing the times of wastewater use. Increased water reuse raises salinity. This is, of course, one of the impacts of the using the saline water. This session is concludes that it requires some control, and advancing the AI and drones and electrochemical techniques and partnership enhances water management. Research, training, and policy development. The third session is concluded. This also, as I told you, this is one of the conclusions comes out of the session. The technology and innovation in water management and productivity, emphasizing strategic cooperation among stakeholders. This for the second day. Also, some selective conclusions comes out of the session. The first session. One of the conclusions or the major conclusion is strengthening partnership, expand training and development education curricula on water and climate awareness, promote modern technologies and engage local communities for sustainable water management. The second session also concludes that the climate change will worsen the water scarcity and food security, requiring urgent action in water management, climate smart agriculture and infrastructure investment. The third session concludes that development of cross-sector partnership, support innovation and investigate SDGs and gender inclusion and water productivity initiative, and also it's fast establishing a global knowledge sharing platform and promote capacity building programs for stakeholders. And by ending of this, we have something just for the call to actions, and we have three call to actions. The first one is the policymakers and scientists, private sector and international organizations must collaborate to achieve the sustainable water management. The second one is the implement solution and innovations discussed in this workshop to address water productivity challenge. And the last but not least, the engaged actively and share insights and contribute to practical implementable solutions in this field. And I would like just to enjoy this workshop, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Professor Ayman, for concluding the workshop in a few minutes. And now it's time to call for President Professor Sharif Mohammadi to give him his closing remarks. The floor is yours, Doctor.
level of participation, commitment, discussion, and very rich knowledge that we have learned over the 2 days. I think we have come to a conclusion that it was a real successful workshop, brings people together, different institutions, different categories, different sectors, but all with the same kind of commitment toward really finding solutions and face challenges with technology and knowledge. It's really a privilege to welcome you to this closing session, especially for who just joining us to this closing. The workshop, as we have just learned, that it was under the title Enhancing Water Productivity, focusing on innovation and scientific approach. It's a pivotal event that has successfully brought together scientists, policymakers, international experts, and stakeholders from various sectors over those past 2 days. Let me first please extend my deepest appreciation to the FAO, international organizations, research institutions, private sectors who participated actively and support the implementation and organization of this workshop. Special thanks, of course, to the Ministry of Water Resources and Irrigation for its continued leadership and unwavering support in promoting sustainable water management solutions and support us in implementing these and organizing this workshop. Over the past 2 days, this workshop has served as a dynamic platform for knowledge exchange, technical discussions, and strategic collaboration focusing on enhancing water productivity. We have explored cutting-edge technologies, innovation practices, and policy recommendations to address the pressing challenges of water scarcity, climate resilience, and agricultural efficiency. The workshop added several values to the overall participants of this. So we're bringing together the experts, decision makers, and the practitioners to foster meaningful dialogue. We have demonstrated the potential of the new technologies, the AI, drones, smart irrigation, to support and enhance the water management practices. We have also been introduced to several successful case studies in water reuse, wastewater treatment, and climate resilient agriculture. And we also encouraged by a lot of partners to enhance the partnership between academia, government, and industry to drive real-world solutions. These discussions have not only highlighted challenges, but also identified tangible, implementable solutions that can shape future policies and investment. As Egypt's primary water research institutions, NWRC remains at the forefront of scientific research, innovation, and capacity building in the water sector. Our vision is clear. Research must be problem-driven, solution-oriented, and aligned with national priorities. NWRC plays a pivotal role in developing science-based policies that enhance Egypt's water security, piloting and scaling innovative water management solutions for agriculture, urban, and industrial use, providing technical expertise to national and regional water projects. Also bridging the gap between research and implementation by collaborating with policymakers and practitioners. This workshop has reinforced NWRC's role as a driving force in shaping water research agenda, ensuring that science and technology remains at the heart of our water management strategies. The Ministry of Water Resources and Irrigation has launched the second generation for water management system, a comprehensive strategy aimed at modernizing Egypt's water governance, infrastructure, and technology adoption. NWRC fully endorses and actively supports this vision through research, capacity building, and technology-driven innovation. Our research agenda aligns with the pillar of the second generation water management system, focusing on advancing precision irrigation technologies, developing climate resilience water management, enhance water quality through monitoring system and treatment solutions, and also promoting interdisciplinary collaboration among research institutions, universities, and the private sector to foster a holistic approach to water management. This is not the responsibility of NWRC alone. It is a national mission that requires the active involvement of all research centers, universities, and stakeholders. A call for national and international collaboration to successfully implement Egypt's water management strategy. So we need stronger collaboration between national and international partners. So I take this opportunity to call upon all Egyptian research institutions and universities to join forces with NWRC in shaping the future of water research and innovation. Likewise, we encourage international organizations, donors, and technical agencies to support our efforts, both financially and through capacity building programs. We need to invest in research, technology transfer, and innovative solutions that can scale and make a real impact. Egypt stands ready to serve as a regional hub for water innovation, and we welcome global expertise and partnership to strengthen our national effort. This workshop is not the end. It is the beginning of an ongoing process. The insights, recommendations, and collaboration formed here must translate into tangible action and policies. NWRC will take the lead in this. In compiling and disseminating the key outputs of this workshop, facilitating follow-up engagement with national and international partners, and expanding research collaboration to align with Egypt's second generation water management system. And also to strengthen the capacity building initiatives for researchers, farmers, and water professionals to ensure the adoption of best practices. So before I conclude, I would like to take a moment to express my deepest gratitude to FOO for being our trusted partner in organizing this workshop. The technical expertise, global experience, and unwavering support have greatly enriched our discussion and strengthened the outcome of this event. I also extend my sincere appreciation to all NWRC staff who have worked hardly to make this workshop a success. Their dedication and proper planning and commitment have been truly commendable. And of course, a special word of thanks to His Excellency, Minister of Water Resources and Irrigation, for his continued support of NWRC research initiative and for honoring us with his presence today. Hopefully he will come soon to honor us in this event. As we conclude this workshop, I want to emphasize that the journey doesn't end here. And I want to reaffirm NWRC's dedication to advancing research-driven solutions to Egypt's water sector. The discussions we have had must lead to policies, investments, and real-world application. Egypt is at a pivotal moment in its water management journey, and NWRC stands ready to play a central role in shaping the next phase of water research and innovation. Water productivity and sustainability are not just technical challenges. They are national imperatives that require commitment, innovation, and cooperation. With the support of the Ministry of Water Resources and Irrigation, research institutions, private sector, stakeholder, and international partners, I am confident that we can drive transformative change and secure Egypt's water future. Let us continue working together to turn knowledge into action and ensure that Egypt remains at the forefront of water research, innovation, and policy implementation. Thank you all once again for your invaluable contribution, and I look forward to continuous collaboration. Thank you so much. And I think we will just wait for a couple of minutes maybe for our minister to arrive, but also for the Maghrib Yedna, inshallah, to break our fast. And I would like to welcome you all and thank you very much for being with us. And I think we will also try to organize more and more meetings like this with different urgent and hot topics that allow us to discuss and collaborate, inshallah. Thank you so much.
Thank you once again, and once again we welcome all the guests that had just joined us through this closing session, and Ramadan Kareem وإفطار شهي إن شاء الله. وبإذن الله we're waiting for His Excellency Dr. Hani to join us and have his also concluding remarks. Thanks and enjoy. Once again, we welcome His Excellency Professor Hani Suwaila from the National Doctor. Well, we would like to ask you for just 2-3 minutes concluding remarks because I know it's the third time, of course, you're retired, but just 2-3 minutes and the mic is all yours.
Assalamu alaikum. So I'm really apologizing for being late. We just finished the cabinet 45 minutes. And we had to come from the new capital to here. And you know, the 6th of October is the wonderful bridge. So always happy to be among you. And sorry, this year I'm a bit having a sport accident. Like alhamdulillah, يعني تحسن. I always appreciate being with the National Water Research Center, and as you know, we're now moving to the second generation of the water system in Egypt, and we count on the role of the National Water Research Center to be guiding us to the new technologies, the smart irrigation, all the techniques that we can apply in our departments in the ministry. So we say, okay, you are our guide to take us to the next generation of the water system in Egypt. We had a very nice meeting yesterday organized by the Regional Training Center of 6th of October, and they have done also some good activities regarding capacity building because speak about second generation of water system needs also second generation of leaders. So capacity building for the younger generation is for us very important. So we count on the second generation of the researchers and the effort that's done now by Dr. Sharif to build the capacity and push the younger people to lead. And that's why we have an incubator now for the leaders of the second generation to incubate them and guide them over the coming couple of years to be the leaders in the future. Technically, language, skills, soft skills, and research skills, but also leadership skills. Thank you for the time for Iftar, and I thank you for inviting me. And sorry again for being late. Kul Sam Tayyib.